Roger. Go for deploy.
All right, guys. Alrighty, guys. Welcome back to Adventure Fit Radio. You are listening to Doc. Happy whatever day it is that this is getting released. I'm not sure. It'll be a Monday or a Thursday. I can't think off the top of my head. Happy day. So, anyway, guys, this show that we have for you today is a show with Andrew Hewison. So Andrew Hewison is a great friend of the show. He's actually in wealth creation. So Hewison Private Wealth, he's the managing director, family-owned company, very, very large company, investment firm. And this was a show that, although Huey's a great friend of mine, and we can talk about anything, I wasn't really sure what we were going to talk about or how it was going to play out. So Tommy set this one up. He said to me, "We're getting Huey on the show." I said, "Great, cool. What are we going to talk about?" I was a little apprehensive about the content, didn't know where it was going to go, and this was one of my favourite shows. One of my absolute favourite shows. It was a long show, but it was a great show. So we talk about investing, we talk about culture, society, we talk about we talk about everything. It's a ripper. Have a listen to this, and you will love the man Huey himself. So also, guys, check out our sponsors. Our sponsors are Audible. Head to audibletrial.com/ADVF radio, and you'll get a free audiobook and 30-day trial with Audible. If you're not on Audible, you are a fool. Also, head to Quash Creative, quashcreative.com. Use the code RADIO when you speak to the guys, and they'll give you a free SEO report or a report on your current existing brand. They're the guys that made our awesome intro to this podcast and awesome for all creative exploits. Also, head to adventurefittravel.com, guys. Check out what we're doing there. I am the CEO. I am the founder. I am the man behind AdventureFit, and I am very, very, very proud and very pleased with our product. I should say our, because it's not just me. Don't want to hog all the glory. So, guys, we've got Greece coming up. We've got Hawaii coming up. We've got Bali coming up. We've got Australia. We've got Kokoda. We've got New Zealand. We have Iceland. By this time this is out, Iceland maybe we'll have a spot or two left on the second trip. So we've also got an epic offering for gyms. So if you want to get a package together for your gyms, we have an awesome offer that we give to gym owners out there. It allows them to give money back to their gym for equipment. So they get a crew together. We give them big money back to upgrade their gym. The gym owners travel for free. It's a win-win for everybody. You'll stand out in your community. You'll get retention for your members. It's just something fucking fun and awesome to do for your gym. So we've got about 20 gyms all around the world that we're currently setting this up with. So if you want to learn more, email me directly, doc@adventurefittravel.com. Anyone else that's listening that's obviously not a gym owner, just wants to check out Adventure Fit Travel, head to adventurefittravel.com and you'll find it all there. Anyway, guys, here's Andrew Hewison and here's the show. Looks like we are back.
We certainly are back. We are BACK for King. No, not even I was going there.
We're back forking.
Yeah, we're back forking.
We're forking back. We're back forking.
Yeah, we're forking each other's backs.
I might take some time to really get up with you guys.
Yeah,
you're on your wavelength.
You'll probably never make it. This is 9 months of 9 months.
9 months of
way more
forking each other's backs.
How long have we got? Yeah.
All right, so we've got our great friend Huey on the show today, Andrew Hewison, and we're just going to have a chat. Tommy wants to probe him about some building some wealth and some building his future. And before we throw over to Huey and welcome him properly, we are going to do what we normally do. I'm going to try and get myself in a better position for this one.
Yeah,
we're going to do what we normally do.
Make sure the listeners know what you're doing before you say things like that.
And I'm just undoing Tommy's pants so I can.
I'm blushing.
Yeah, so
you getting ready for it?
So here we go.
Do you know what?
Tommy's tribute.
Before we get into it, I made Rob Whittaker blush and simultaneously want to hit me in the face at the same time. I've never seen Mitch Cinnamon look more uncomfortable than when I sang him a song. So you've got big shoes to fill, mate.
All right.
See how we go. Now take your pants off. All right, here we go. So this is a cover of Jeremy's Pearl Jam's Jeremy. What are you doing? Pearl Jam's Jeremy. I'm going to get into this one real big. Here we go. At home on my laptop, wonder what to sing. Nothing came to mind, but then I remembered Andrew is a man. You can never beat that. Oh, I fucked that up. I'll go from here. Andrew is a man. You can trust that. He never kicks up a fuss. I've literally fucked this song up because Huey's on the show. I genuinely think I could be turning gay. Huey's on the show. I think I'm turning gay. Oh my god. Oh, alright.
This is intriguing.
Oh god. That's the funniest shit that's ever happened to me. Alright.
I made you blush.
You did. Oh, I lost my line, and then I couldn't fucking. That's
The only thing I actually heard you say is, Huey's on the show, na-na-na-na-na, and I'm turning gay.
Can I read the lyrics just so
Please.
I know what you were going to say?
Do you know what?
But it's all
Read
good.
them out loud. Read
It's
them
all
out
good.
loud.
I'm going to go a cappella on this, just because I need to do that song justice. Andrew is a man you can trust. He never kicks up a fuss. He'll never beat around the bush. Oh, in saying that, you should beat off to him.
I missed that bit.
King Huey the Wicked. He rules my world, 'cause Huey's on the show. I think I'm turning gay. Welcome.
It's way funnier when I
Okay,
actually
yeah,
understood
good.
what you said.
Yeah. Anyway, good chat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll do, wouldn't it? I think.
Anyway, we'll see you later.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Welcome to the show, Huey. Good to see you, man. Haven't seen you in a long
It's
time.
been a long time, hasn't it?
So, why don't you tell us who you are, Huey? What do you actually do? I don't even really know, man.
And one weird thing
I
about
kinda do.
yourself. One weird thing about yourself.
Was that on the roll of questions that I was told to answer before I came on? Because I didn't pay any attention to that.
Yeah,
at all.
no.
I got down to the bit where it said 3 people to dinner, and I'm like, I'm not answering this question.
All right.
It's
It'll
getting
be a short show. It'll be a short show. We'll just wrap it up.
Anyway,
Well, I
so
had another
where's the
suggestion.
find you, mate?
I had another suggestion for you.
Yeah, you did. That was interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, good. Who am I? Well,
What are you doing here, Huey?
I don't know. Tommy. Well, actually, I badgered Tommy for a while. Like, you didn't have me on.
Yeah.
You had my wife on. I mean, really, let's just talk about Joe because
Your wife was one of the most downloaded shows. One of the favourite shows for me and Tommy.
Yeah.
Big shoes to fill,
No,
my friend.
I know.
Leaky butt syndrome on
Yeah,
the old on the
leaky
couch
butt.
back in the day. The old Joe was great.
Yeah.
We're trying to get her back on.
She's
Heavily pregnant these days.
yeah, no. I mean, she is. She's the best thing that ever come into my life. That's for sure. That's about 6 years ago now. Walked into the gym and
The light
I
shone
can
down.
tell that story. Just walked into the gym
Yeah,
and it was
give us a-
like a bunch of male dogs on heat just looking to mark their territory, and I was just the first one to break away from the pack.
First one with your dick out.
Get across to. Of course, we're all comp squad group one. Comp squad group one, just on our side, just pumping the chest, and she
exactly.
sort of strolled into group 2, and I was like, no, I'm on this. I got this one.
Stand back, boys. Clear the
I'm
runway.
Andrew. I'm Andrew.
I had access to cheap New Balance shoes at the time, and Benj came up to me and was like, "Oh, I worded her up. She needs shoes. Go over."
Nice.
And I used to I'd hang out. I got the intel on her. I'd hang out on a late Friday afternoon because I knew that's when she trained,
Yeah,
and I
good.
just sort of do a couple of stretches on one of the. I strategically put a box in the middle of the gym, and we all know that the boxes don't go anywhere near the middle of the gym. But all of a sudden, there I am, just doing a bit of a hammy stretch. Go, oh Joe, I fancy seeing you again.
Or Veronica.
Anyway, we're married now, and she's having my child.
That's unreal.
It. So,
all because of your hammies.
All because of my hammies, or probably my old buggered back at the time.
Very true.
So, okay, I grew up down on the Mornington Peninsula.
Whereabouts?
Mount Eliza.
Yep.
So, went to school down there at Peninsula Grammar. Good private school boy. And, grew up down there, grew up surfing down on the coast down there. That was a big passion of mine and still is, and played a lot of footy down there and whatnot. And then I finished school, went to uni, did a commerce degree at Deakin Burwood, majoring in sport management and marketing because I wanted to. If I wasn't
What
going
you
to,
did in it, Tommy?
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Yep, I did sports management and economics.
really,
Yep, at Deakin University.
Jesus,
Yep. In
And
fact,
look at where you ended up.
there is look what you did. You've got a big dong and a fucking nice car. I'm a
Hot missus and
yeah.
kid
You got a
coming.
hot missus. Yeah, you got a kid coming.
I'm a lot older than you, mate. I'm a lot older.
Well,
Maybe
still,
I've
Yeah.
just
No, you've
maybe
got
I've just
13
paved.
years, Tommy, actually.
Maybe
You've got
I've
13
just
years to find
there,
that.
there you go.
I
I
don't know.
paved the path for you.
That's true.
I'd go the dog first. I'd work on a dog for the next 3 years.
Well, right
Then
now I'm broke with a Pornhub subscription.
You can't travel too far when you've got a pooch. So you just got to be
It's true.
a little bit careful with that one.
Well, I got a pooch. Mate, he hates me.
And-
See you later, bro, man.
yeah, I've had enough. Yeah. Sorry.
We happen to choose the most clingy dog you could possibly imagine at Hungarian Vizsla. They call them the Velcro dogs.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they have separation anxiety if you
dead set.
in all honesty.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they lose their shit if you get away from them. And even
That's
tonight,
fucking crazy, isn't it?
when we were just a bit of quality time on the couch before I woke myself back up to come over here, rug over the top of us, the dog will come in, burrow under the rug, normally come back up and nuzzle his nose in between Joe's crutch, as you do.
Yeah.
Half his luck.
We've all been there.
Taught him well, mate. Taught him well.
But no, he then has to creep his way across, so he's touching both of us.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh wow.
But
No, swings both ways.
swings both ways. Yeah.
I mean, we've
No,
all
he
been
just,
there.
just likes the affection. I'm the disciplinarian. I feed him the treats.
Yeah.
But we get off track. We digress.
No,
That's right.
I want to hear about this actually because I've got obviously Ziggy's only 6 months old and he's starting to get mad separation anxiety. Like he was good when I'd tie him up and go into a shop or something, and then now he just barks his head off all day every day.
I've never even contemplated leaving Henry outside.
Really?
No.
Well, I actually found out that people steal dogs in Port Melbourne on the reg.
Really?
As well. Yep.
What would they do with them? Sell them?
Mate,
Sell them and fight them.
Mate,
Fight all sorts of
it's that market
It's
is
huge.
ridiculous.
Yeah, 100%.
Dogs? No shit.
I mean, particularly, no disrespect to Ziggy. I don't know what breed he is, but our dog.
It's a mini
better than
Dachshund.
yours.
Mini Dachshund. Sausage dog.
There you go.
Yeah. Designer
With
dog.
the long hair.
Designer dog. Silver Dachshund designer dog, yeah.
No,
Long hair.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. Sausage dogs are they are a hot commodity. And so our dog is as well. They're very Elwood at the moment. They're on every street corner, but yeah, cute as hell.
But
he has to have an hour walk every day.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And
That's all right, though.
Joe didn't. Well, yeah. Well, easy
doing that?
when you got. I mean,
No,
it's good
I
for
know.
Joe because she's being self-employed. She's got a little bit of flexibility, but she didn't. She went to the gym the first thing this morning. He didn't get a walk, and I walked in tonight.
Yeah.
And this is serious. Like he actually he gets so excited, and he's got a long tail, and it's getting so powerful that he split the end of his tail.
What?
Oh shit.
And my old man was around the other day, and we had a business discussion. We'll probably get into that, but he and I worked together, and he had like a pair of like cream pants on, and as he was about to leave, I'm like, mate, what have you been doing? And the next thing I know, the dog's been under the table, whipping him with his tail.
Oh shit.
And he had blood all over him.
Oh, right.
And I then looked around and there was blood all the way down the hallways. And I got home today and he did the same thing and the thing started bleeding again.
Jesus.
So he's
Dog's
crazy.
going well, mate.
They're insane.
Yeah, we're winning. We're
Yeah,
winning.
yeah.
We're winning at Dog Life. Yeah.
Definitely killing
The
it.
kid's due October. I hope that doesn't have a tail, I hope so.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, the stealing dogs thing is a serious problem. Like, because
I never heard of that.
Yeah, so as I had Ziggy out in this little area here, the caution off little patio here, and all my neighbours are like, man, you don't want to do that. Like that, your dog will get pinched in the first week doing that.
Really?
Yep.
It's fucked,
and you know what they
isn't
do? So people steal them and sell them, obviously.
Yep.
Because, Ziggy's $2,500 dog, you probably get sell him for $1,500 if somehow you could unmicrochip. I don't know how the fuck you do it, whatever. But the other thing that happens, which is fucked, so it's just the most. I had this discussion with one of the ladies down the dog park yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
So people, you like that one, mate?
Dog park's funny to me.
People steal the dogs, and so people from out Werribee and like all what's the suburb next to Werribee? Real dodgy.
Hoppers Crossing.
Hoppers Crossing. So
Let's not
Werribee.
get too...
Hashtag.
There's a lot of lovely people out there.
All our listeners from Hoppers Crossing.
You're all dogs.
You're all dogs.
Just to be clear, I simply named the suburb. I didn't.
Huey started that shit.
Yeah, he lives in Elwood. He's got a Hungarian schmips.
I grew up in Frankston, mate. All right, so just back off.
So you're one of them.
But
I cut my teeth on the rough streets.
To my point, what they do, these crew from Werribee and the Hop, they come steal dogs, and they're the dogs that they fight. They put in dog fights.
Oh, you would want Zig then.
Well, I mean, I don't know what a dog fight looks like, but any dog, they'll put them in a ring with a bigger dog, and dogs will rip it up. That's what dog fighting is,
That's fucked up.
It's the most. Those people should be fucking shot, but that's what they reckon, because there's all these other people as well. All these fucking. So there was a warning in South Port Melbourne, like the community and all the people at the dog park were talking about it, and it was on like community boards. I'm not on those boards, but people were putting fucking poison along the dog beach.
Really?
Poison pellets and stuff. Because they get a kick out of... Cause you know how fucked up people...
Die.
You know how fucked up people are.
Oh, yeah,
like
for
people
sure.
are, psychopaths for any number of reasons. And Melbourne's a very safe city, but it's not without fuckwits that'll try and kill your dog for no apparent reason. They put dog... there was warnings about it.
Yeah,
That's fucking crazy, man.
We're living in sad times, really.
Yeah. Well, statistically
People are always
speaking, we've
fucked up.
shaken hands with pedophiles and rapists before.
Yeah.
And we're lucky enough to have...
the circles you're hanging around, mate.
Well, I mean, I'm not around Hoppers Crossing all the time.
You and the boys on a Saturday night.
Not if it's consensual.
Walk into our gym on a Saturday, shake everyone's hand. That's basically what he's talking about.
That's what I'm trying to say, yeah.
No names. No names.
Right. Yeah, we definitely won't
We've all
name
been
names.
there. We've all been there.
Yeah, it's a little bit of fun.
I must admit, I've been here 10 minutes. I didn't think dogfighting was going to come up on the topic list.
Yeah,
but
dog fighting and rape.
yeah. No.
But anyway, Huey. So tell us a bit. So what do you?
Yeah, so
keep introducing yourself. What do you do,
basically,
so?
like I'm not without going in chapter and verse of it all, but where I'm at now, I guess, is that so my father started a financial planning, wealth management business 35 years ago, and as I said before, the bit that I was getting to, I guess, was my view was if I wasn't going to play AFL footy, I was going to be a player manager, and through uni, I did a week's worth of work experience with someone. We worked out that was the last thing that I wanted to do. And then my man, at the age of like 21, I'm like, right, well, I'm going to get a job, and then I'm going to take off and piss off overseas for 18 months or for however long. And he's like, well, there's an opportunity here in this business. What would you like to see what it's like? And I hadn't actually put a second thought into it. And I'm like, okay, well, why not? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm going in 6 to 9 months. I'm done. I'm off, and then if you want me to come back, whatever. And after 6 weeks or less than, I decided I'd figured out that's where I wanted to be. That's where I wanted to base my career. And I started straight away. Started the post-grad sort of study, and I did end up going away, and it was going to be for 12 months. I pushed it out to 18 months, and then thankfully they held my position, got home, and I've now been there for 15 years. So I guess like, a bit of background about the business, and I don't know how much this would resonate with many of the listeners and whatnot, but we're an independent financial planning business based in Melbourne, which means that we're owned by the people in the business. So we're not owned or affiliated with large institutions. Therefore, we're able to provide unbiased, unconflicted advice on a fee-for-service basis. So, Tommy, if you come in to our office and say, well, I want to talk to a financial advisor, I'm going to sit down with you and talk specifically about what your personal goals and objectives are.
Yep.
And it's my job to then design an overall strategy that's going to achieve whatever those goals and objectives are.
Right.
And that's actually a lot different to mainstream financial planning circles.
Yep.
And
because,
in what? Yeah, in what
well,
way?
in the
work?
sense that Doc, you could come in and go, all right, well, I am. How old are you?
31, but I look about a manly 25.
Yeah, with that beautiful lush beard. I'm 25 and I want to grow my wealth and I want to reduce debt and all that sort of stuff. And I can go, yeah, good. I tell you what, just fill out that risk questionnaire over there. I'm going to leave the room for 10 minutes. I don't really care what your objectives are. We can talk about those, but ultimately the strategy that I give you is going to specifically relate to how you filled out that questionnaire, which is complete bullshit in our opinion, because you're paying me and I'm not giving you the service that you want. So our business is very much designed around achieving our clients' specific outcomes. And look, without sounding
Are they just financially related, their objectives, or can it be about anything? Like,
mate,
I want to increase my back squat by 20 kilograms. What can you do here? Well, invest in these shares, then you'll get some money and you'll be able to get a gym membership.
I'm a three-time regionals competitor too, mate, so we can talk about your back squat if you want.
Now, Huey, I don't know how to tell you this, mate, but I need to last longer. What can you do for me? Last shorter, some would say.
We've got a nasal spray for that, but but listen, we actually, if you look at the things that when they do surveys around what stresses out people the most, financial issues sit very closely underneath health at the very top. So we wind up being not just that financial mentor, coach, manager. We wind up being a counsellor. I mean, we have to sit in front of people when they're talking about disabled children, people that have terminal illnesses, and how we're going to manage the estate planning around that. How we're going to, transition their wealth from one generation to the next based on people and their health issues, divorce, separation, all that kind of thing. I mean, it's the whole gamut of estate planning, insurance, debt reduction, tax planning, wealth management, superannuation. And without sort of sounding too wanky about it, I guess, it's a mature business. We've been around a long time. Like, my father started the business. He's now 70. I applied for his role. I wasn't given his role a few years ago, but I applied for that with some other people. I was fortunate enough to get that role. So I'm now the managing director of this business. It's 27 staff, based on St Kilda Road, and we manage around about $1 billion in funds under management for our clients. We're specialists in self-managed superannuation. We look after 600 of those. We've probably got about 850 clients. But in saying that, because I hate to paint that picture and say, well, we only deal in the big end of town and that kind of thing. I mean, to some degree we do. Our service is very bespoke. It's very high touch kind of thing. But part of our service is to manage family groups, which includes people that are 80, 90, all the way down to people that are teenagers. And I've got a real passion for financial education, and I think that's something that I've only just really started to find in myself. I mean, I'm 37, but I've been doing this for 15 years, and I see people in their 20s, and I just want to help them. So,
do you think, Huey, one of the things, sorry to cut you off, one of the things that gets me really befuddled with the education system in general is the most important things that we have in life we don't get taught in school?
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Like
CPR.
First
aid.
Me and Tommy, for example, talk about...
Seriously, though?
How to pick up chicks. But we talk about the mental health side of it, you don't get taught any mindfulness practice, anything, how to handle yourself, how to understand your own brain and your emotions. You don't get taught about so your mind and
how to get your
money and your health
and your passions,
nutrition,
how to find out what you love and where you want to go. Life skills. You get taught all this fucking shit that you don't give two hoots about, and then you don't learn about important stuff like money. Obviously, has such a important role in. Money doesn't really make people happy. It makes them slightly happier, but it makes them unhappy if they're really, really struggling. It can be a very negative influence,
Yeah.
So,
have you ever heard, just a bit of a digression? Have you ever heard of a guy called Mr. Money Mustache?
Mr. Money Mustache.
You should.
Is that his first name?
Is he the Monopoly guy?
I've just been calling him the monopoly.
He looks like
He
looks like him a little bit.
$200. As Ventura saying.
He was.
No, I was with you, mate.
I'm seriously like, who's running this podcast? Because I'm going to bring this back on track. Okay,
you can host it, mate. I'll just click off.
All right, fantastic. No,
by click off, I meant jack off. Sorry, here we go on.
I will take the high ground.
Yeah.
He's been on the Tim Ferriss podcast.
Really?
He was actually recently, not that long ago, on there, and Tim said that he got him on there because he was like in the top 5 most requested people that people wanted to hear from.
Really?
Anyway, so I listened to that and I found it quite interesting because he made a really, really good point around your decisions to spend money. This guy came to notoriety in the sense that he lives in Utah and he lives off $25,000 to $35,000 a year with his family. He rides a bike with a cart attached to the back of it down to the local farmer's market every Saturday to get his fruit and veg, and obviously lives very frugally. But one of his sort of mantras is that when you go to make a decision around where you're going to spend your money, more often than not, you go and buy a nice shiny watch or a nice shiny car, and it might raise your happiness for a 2-week period, and then you just go back to where you were.
Oh, right. Not even 2 weeks, man.
Yeah.
But yes.
So you have to ask yourself whether or not that purchase is really worth it, as opposed to making a purchase or spending money on something that's going to take away something that's making you unhappy, which is going back to your point. So I think that's quite a really clear not distinction, but it's just something that's really interesting that I've even now started thinking about, even though I probably have a little more financial independence. But
cash.
No, well,
I got the cheese in the back.
Bitches.
I still got a bloody big mortgage, mate, so don't worry about that. But I also think that whether I'm 37 or whether you're 31 or whether you're 20-something or 18, people just make an assumption that they're going to work until they're 65 and 70. And it's amazing how as you get the pay rises, you will grow into that wealth or money that you earn. You could earn 20 grand less a few years ago and still be very happy with the way you were living. But all of a sudden, you're not saving any more money. You're just growing into the money that you're earning. And it's a hit and hope kind of scenario. Like, I hope I'm going to have enough money when I'm 65. But what if you actually designed your life earlier on? So you maybe, I'm not going to spend the money on that watch or whatever it might be. But shit, I can retire when I'm 45.
Yeah.
I've got this thing all mapped out. And when I'm 45, I'm going to have enough money to invest and generate a passive income from.
Yeah.
And I can do whatever the hell I want to do.
Yeah.
It's very true.
I mean, I'm going back to the whole school thing. I think I haven't been to school for a long time, but I think there's definitely a responsibility with career counsellors and whoever else to tell people and tell children that they got to follow their passions. And I didn't get told that. I go, you have to go to university. You listen to the guys like Gary Vee and Richard Branson and whoever else these days.
Yep.
These are the richest men in the world, and the one thing they'll tell everyone to do is follow your passion, do what you enjoy, because the money will follow.
Yeah, that's right.
So
yeah, no, that's a really good point. I was lucky enough on a personal note to kind of find that out pretty early through my dad. Like I was not a very good student in school at all, but my dad pumped into my brain that I needed to invest in real estate, and was able to at 19, 20, and 21 and 22, and then from that setting myself up at that point. Now I don't have any money.
Yeah.
But I made the distinct decision when I was 23.
Bill's the one with all the folding.
That's it, mate. Yeah.
Where is it? Is it under the couch? Where are you hiding it?
I think it's stashed over there.
Mate, it's in the remnants of bags of cocaine and empty...
Whoa, time out, boys.
Hang on a second. Yeah. Cocaine is obviously a TV show that you watch.
I invested in a company. It's actually Spanish for stocks and bonds.
Yeah, that's right.
Bitcoin.
But yeah, that helped me set myself up in the early stages and have financial freedom. Through AdventureFit, I don't have any real estate anymore. I'm banking on AdventureFit making it fucking big, basically, which is not my choice.
Yeah.
I would have chosen to stay in the real estate market. But the financial freedom that I got from being a young kid with buying a house at 19, by the time I was 23, 24, I had so much equity, I'm like, cool, I can do whatever I want now. And my decision was I want to travel for the best part of 4 years.
So you pulled money off your mortgage?
Yeah, so I refinanced.
You drew money off it?
Yeah, I refinanced every time, and then I sold. I never kept all 3. I had 3 for a very short period of time, and then I sold. Basically, I had like 2 properties running for the most part of my life till about 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And they were obviously tenanted and being self-funded and
pretty much.
And by self-funded I mean in the sense that the rent was covering the interest on the loan.
Neutrally geared, basically. Yep. So I got the first homeowners grant when I was like 19 years old. Sorry, in 2000 and whatever that would have been, but 12 years ago, and bought a property in Frankston, and so it was $205,000. The funny thing was it's not without like real estate investment, especially for a young kid. In my opinion, it was so hard. It really was.
How old were you again when you
19?
First bought your
19.
What did you find hard about it?
So what happened with me was I left school and started working for my dad as a labourer on a trade site. So I was making, I was getting paid like $20 an hour, something like that. That was like pretty all right money back then, but it was still absolutely nothing, right? And then I had a mortgage of $150,000 with 8% mortgage interest rates at the time or something. Yeah. So, but the problem was I was a 19-year-old kid with a house. I'm like, right, it was a dump. It was an absolute dump, which is what we wanted. I wanted to renovate, build some equity straight off the bat, get tenants in there, boom, whatever.
Yeah.
Frankston was tipped by everybody and still is that it's going to be the absolute booming suburb of whatever. It never hit. I had it for 8 years, never hit.
Yeah.
But I bought it, and as a 19-year-old kid, so I was in this, like it was like a double-edged sword because I had to work my ass. I was working 40 hours a week to cover the mortgage because it wasn't tenanted.
Yeah.
I was doing renovations, and I had no money to do the renovations.
Yeah, so you're doing a development. I mean, that's a for a 19
renovation.
Yeah, but it's development. But mate, if you bought a property and you don't have a tenant in there, I mean that is. It's a form of development.
It took me 18 months.
Yeah.
I painted. There was wallpaper. I had to steam off the whole wallpaper every room. I had to fucking sand every. Oh, you got to sand anyway before you paint. But I painted the whole thing myself.
You couldn't live in it while you're doing it.
No, I was living with my mum and dad.
Oh, so you didn't you weren't paying rent?
No, I wasn't paying rent. But like it was. It took me it should have taken somebody a couple of months.
Yeah.
If me or you did it right now, and one of us guys did it with a little bit of money and in a different position, you'd knock it over in 2 months and you'd be like, yeah, it's a great result. But because I was in that position at 19 with no money and I had to work really hard to actually even just afford to pay the mortgage, it was actually, I'm looking back on it, like I'm proud of what I did because it set me up. And everyone was like, oh, because my old man helped me with a little bit of money. He gave me 15 grand, lent me 15 grand, homeowners grant. So I didn't save that much money. Like I really didn't save that much money to get my first house. And then, so a lot of my mates are kind of thinking that I just fell ass first into a house and then got off to a good start or whatever. But I don't really care because like when I was 19, I put in hard work. It was a fucking nightmare. And I think it's really hard for like, what's it like for kids these days, like to buy a house? Like it's pretty...
Yeah. Look, I get that it's hard, right? I get that in terms of property prices and this, that, and the other. But I also, this is real talk now. So I just think people whinge too much.
Yeah,
I really do. Like at the end of the day, if you want to roll up your sleeves and you want to work hard and you want to be deliberate and disciplined about what your goals are, and if that's buying a house, then that's fine. Then you can still do it, right? You can still do it.
Yeah,
like
for sure, no doubt.
First thing I thought about when you were talking about being 19 and doing it, I think we've crossed over a generation now and things are a lot different. Everybody knows like people don't move out of home until they're 25 or 30. And I'm not saying I was buying houses at 19. Like that's kind of putting your balls on the line.
It matured me really quick.
Yeah.
My risk level in life has been... I've been dealing with tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars as soon as I could make $1.
Yeah.
So it actually made me very risk averse.
No, opposite.
Opposite, yeah. Maybe the other way.
But I mean, I think, as long as you understand... there's taking risks and there's calculated risks and then there's gambling, to some degree. So if you do your numbers and you know what you're getting yourself into and that, okay, all right, so interest rates at the moment, I can get a home loan for 3.7, 3.8%. Well, you don't want to base your long-term repayments ability to repay on 3.8%. You just said before it was 8% when you did it.
My parents bought when my parents bought their first house, it was 19%.
19%, yeah. But I mean, to share a little bit of a story, and if this particular guy is happens to listen to this, he'll probably know who he is, but that's okay.
Shout him out, mate.
Nah.
Lisa S.
But a guy caught up with me for lunch the other day, young fella, and told me, he said him and his girlfriend have saved a certain amount of money for a deposit on a house, but
he will be listening to the show. Yep.
Everything that they've looked at is too expensive. And I said, okay, well, cool. Whereabouts are you looking? He's like, Caulfield, down towards, Hampton. I don't know if he'd kind of dropped South Yarra. I'm like, dude.
Toorak.
But I'm like, what about Oakley? It's 10 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
No, we don't want to. Because we know we can still rent. We can afford to rent where we want to live. And I'm like, with all due respect, if you really want to get into the property market, I mean, you talk to I don't know about your parents, you talk to my parents, like they weren't living in a city. Like everybody wants to live in a city right now.
But you still can live in a city. That's what an investment property is. It's like my ex, Jill, she was in the position where she had to have the apartment in Elwood. And then she wanted to invest. I'm like, well, you can still live in Elwood and invest anywhere else that's going to have good growth. Like you don't have to live in your fucking apartment that you buy. Like that's what.
Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, no. Look, of course not. But I mean, some people make okay. There's a distinction there that's important to make, and that is that there's investing. There's putting your money in something as an investment. So they're talking about housing, okay? So if you're going to make an investment, you're going to buy an investment property. That is an investment that you want a return on.
Yes.
Versus buying a house that you're going to live in. That's a lifestyle asset. That's not a financial asset that you make sacrifices. You go, oh, well, we may not get the growth out of this, that, and the other, but we're buying this because this is going to be the place that we want to make memories in.
Exactly. Home. That's right.
And key distinction is that the debt on that is not deductible, so you can't claim a deduction against the interest against your income. Whereas an investment property, you can.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're two different objectives. And this particular guy, obviously wants to move into something with his girlfriend and whatnot, which is great. But there are other things that I can sort of help him with in relation to, okay, well, how are we going to grow the money that you've got? No problem. My only point is, if anyone else is, again, whether you guys heard this or there was this the young guy who's worth $500 million, who's made his money in property, came out like in the financial or in the papers, financial press and or Herald Sun recently and said, this is the smashed avocado generation that people, too interested. They want it all, but they're also, they want to save and this, that, and the other, but they're also wanting to go out and have their breakfasts and their lattes and this, that. And you know what? He's got a point. He's actually got a point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hope this isn't too much of a dull and mundane sort of topic, but
it's hitting very close to home for me personally.
I am that person.
Budgeting.
I've got no money and I go out to smash that
I'm the fucking same person. It fucking pisses me off so much.
Budgeting is the dirtiest world. Budgeting's the dirtiest world in anybody's lives. But budgeting is essential. But it's not around going, well, let's just track how much I spend, how much I earn, and I can save $1,000 every year at the end of it. You got to work out what you start from the other end. What is your goal? Like, what is it where do you want to be in a certain period of time, and what's it going to take to get there? Oh, all right, I want to buy my house in another 3 years' time. I need $100,000 to do that as a deposit. All right, well, based on my salary now, over the next 3 to 5 years, how much do I have to save per annum? And then get a return on that, whether it's through fixed interest or, term deposit or whatever, to get me to that. Right, okay, well, it's $10,000 a year. Okay, well, that's got to go into my budget, not, just like your breakfast do. That has to go into your budget.
Yeah, you got to find it somewhere.
Yeah, you got to find it. You can't just go, here's what I earn. Here's what I earn. Here's what I spend. Oh, I can save $3,000 at the end of the year. Oh, well, that means I can't afford a house. Wake up. Like if you need 10 grand a year, that goes into your budget, and you sacrifice something else, and then you're going to get to your end goal.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in everything that I do in life. Absolutely everything is based around discipline.
Yeah.
Jocko Willink, you guys would have heard of this guy.
Yeah, he's coming on the show when we do our next LA trip. We were supposed to see him. Yeah, we were supposed to.
Wow.
We were supposed to podcast with him in Feb, but
well, without wanting to steal his line, discipline equals freedom.
Yeah.
And it's the, and
it's very true.
You make conscious decisions, right? And this is something that I'm a massive, massive believer in, and that is if I decide to eat that donut, I consciously know what the outcome is, and that is that it's bad for me. It's an intake of fats and sugars and whatever. But I don't give a toss because I want the bloody donut, and so I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
Right? Well, there's nothing worse in life. I really feel for people that are making decisions when they don't know the consequences of that decision.
Yeah.
If you know the consequences, like, well, I'm going to go and spend the money on a holiday because I just don't care, and I know it's going to put me back by a year, but I know that I've still got my plan. Cool, go and do it. Good luck to you. But I think it's sad, going back to what we're talking about with schools, like, and what you learn there or what you don't learn there is that holds you back from making better decisions in whatever aspect of your life.
And how does that coincide, like all that sort of stuff, how does that coincide with the other side of Huey as well, which is very much like, and I'm just playing devil's advocate, but how does it coincide with the whole living in the moment and making memories? I'm not talking about like, just not going and getting smashed avocado, but if you're always disciplining yourself and setting yourself for a life in the future, how do you also juggle the whole thing of like,
having a good time now,
being spontaneous and having a good time now, and all that sort of thing? How does it work for you?
Well, okay, because I mean, those that know me know that I'm not the most boring bastard in the world either.
You're a lovely individual.
Oh shit! If you've got to tell people that, then maybe you are. But
you're sad.
No, but I mean, listen. Life is about balance, because at the end of the day, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But that is where life can be pretty tough. Like it's not all on a roadmap. It's not all like, here's exactly how it's all going to play out for you. So I think you obviously you do have to have a balance. And if you're a young person and you're not earning $500,000 a year, you're earning your 80 grand, after tax, then this, that, and the other. Well, you still have to be able to balance that off by, go back to the whole sort of budgeting aspect. And we're talking about a really small aspect of life here, but
very important for someone like me.
But you can assign. Again, it goes into your budget. Well, out of my wage, I'm going to farm off 20% of it to do things that I want to do and enjoy. But again, it comes back to what are you're living right in the now, which means possibly I'm not worried right now about saving for a house. I just want to enjoy myself. Like, hey, don't get me wrong. Like, I was overseas between the ages of 23, 25. And the only concept of saving that I had before that was, how am I going to save enough money to go on the piss for around Europe for 10 months or whatever it might have been. So it wasn't until I got back and then I'm like, well now, and again, this is just because I live in this world of financial planning that it probably resonates with me a bit more. But as I said, it all depends on what is important to you right now, right? So if saving for a house isn't important to you right now, and you want to go out and, find the love of your life at 3 a.m. at a bar somewhere every Saturday night.
A bloke named Derek in corporate finance.
spend $300 to $500 doing that. Then good luck to you. I did that.
Jeez, yeah, big night.
It's huge, isn't it? But what about? But on that though, like, if you think, but how? So, but my thing at the moment is like, I'm broke as shit, and I don't really care because, like, I love playing guitar, I love talking shit, I love talking about anxiety and mental health, and I love training and coaching CrossFit, and all these things that I truly love. They're the biggest things in my life. I get to do every day. And it's awesome. But I just have this thing in the back of my mind that, yes, I am, broke as shit, and I don't really care at the moment. But, like, what if one day I suddenly do care, and yet I've just lost 5-10 years of savings? You know, I'm all for living in the moment. But
whether you say you've lost it or whether you have whatever your goals are at that point in time have just been put back. You know, for someone who might have gone out and just been obsessed with buying houses at the age of 19 and renovating them, well, if Bill had have continued to do that, you know, he's going to have a different life through his 20s than maybe what you are. You've chosen to go a different path. He might be more financially stable than you at a period of time. But that's what I said before, mate. Honestly, it's, in my view, it's balance. I would urge you to consider like some level of, you know, some level of maybe budgeting or saving. It just goes back to what I said before, a conscious decision. I reckon you might be shitting yourself at the moment because you actually just don't know.
Yeah.
Whereas if you sat down with someone, and even if we sat down over a coffee and said, okay, well, if you want to have 50 grand in the bank when you're 30, well, here's what you need to do. Save a bit, put it in an account that you never see, and invest it somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, to your point there, Huey, I totally agree. You talk about balance, and I wasn't balanced. You know, my dad came from a tradie background, so everything he put into me was like money, money, money is the route to all happiness and success. Yeah. Pretty much. And that's why I invested at 19, and then I was on a sales call today, and it was a classic call, actually, and I ended up, for some reason, telling like my whole life story about Adventure, because the chick asked me, and she was talking about buying an investment property instead of going on the trip, and I was telling her with a bunch of different reasons and a bunch of different ways that she can do both, and she can have a great balance, and it'll be great. And then it led down like Adventure Fit and me, and I started talking about how I've done a few things that I've done with real estate.
Yep.
And I told her about how I was subscribed to Australian Property Investor magazine when I was like fucking 19 to 23.
Yeah.
I was probably the youngest subscriber in Australia. I would read it back to front. My dad was subscribed to Property Investor Australia, which I would also read back to front.
Yeah.
I would be on realestate.com every second of the day when I got home from school. I was looking at rural properties with huge rental yields versus blue chip. I'm like, that was just all the scenarios playing out of my head.
Yep.
That's all I wanted to do. And I was well on the path. If I decided to go down that path and stay and not travel and not start Adventure and do whatever and invest in real estate, I'd have lots and lots and lots of money right now.
Yeah.
But it wasn't making me happy, and it wasn't what I decided to do. It wasn't the choice that I decided to make. At the time it was, and then it got to 23, I was sick, and I decided, I had a really bad year, I was pretty unwell and whatever, and then I changed my goals, like you said to Tommy. My goals went from, I want to have all the money in the world, this is what's going to make me happy, what's going to make me successful in my mind, to, this is not what I want at all. I want to travel the world. And then that's what I went and did. Mind you, my goal was always to have one investment property, and it got to the point, it was when push came to shove, at 28 when I started Adventure Fit, I couldn't really do both.
Yeah.
I sold a property, had my money for my next unit renovation, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And then the starting Adventure Fit slowly, I didn't pump money into the business. I pumped money into my life while I worked so hard on the business. So and it took me out of the market, and I couldn't get back in. Yeah. Basically, but I'm not stressed at all. I'm the happiest I've ever been.
Yeah.
But my goalposts changed.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have balance, and now like I think that when I do get back into reinvesting, I'll have a nice balance, and you know it'll be.
But I'm okay. So let's pick that apart. Did the success that you had in the property market allow you to do what you did with Adventure Fit? I know you just said you didn't use the money to invest in it, but you were spending the money in other areas.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do it without it.
Okay, well, okay. So you kind of you answer your own question there. Like you've mentioned a couple of times that money doesn't necessarily bring happiness. There's no doubt that money plays a part.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Choose and shit. Do we? Yeah, that's right. You know, well, but do we get out of like it can just in the sense that money can buy you time, money can buy you choice, and money can buy you freedom. To then go and follow what your passions are.
Yes.
But in saying that, I actually do believe that if you do follow your passion from the very beginning and you can make ends meet, like, you know, a lot of people...
It's all about making ends meet, mate.
A lot of people talk about getting the stack shelves at night time to earn enough money to go and then invest in yourself and follow your passion.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't talked about the Brave yet, which is something which is quite, that's how you and I got to know each other, Doc, through, setting up bloody tents at CrossFit competitions. But, in another lifetime, to be brutally honest, I would probably still be running the Brave today. Mm-hmm. And this is being brutally honest. If I wasn't earning the money that I was earning in financial planning. But once you get to a level where you're like, this is allowing me to do a lot of other things. It's hard to go. It's actually takes a lot of courage, and maybe I didn't have the courage. I don't think so, but you could argue that I could have just said, you know what, I'm giving that job away, and I'm going to go back to the bread line and try and follow my passion with the Brave.
Yep.
But I'm on another path now, and that is that I've got a specific goal in mind to get myself to financial independence as fast as I can, which basically means that I could retire if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And then I can go and find my adventure fit.
Yeah, exactly, right. exactly.
But the thing is, Huey, to your point as well, and the happiness thing, I'm just going off. You are happier with more money. You are. That's a fact. Like that. So I'm just citing one study, and the study was I've spoken to you about, Tommy. Like, people with the average income in the US had a rate of perceived happiness of 7.4. This is like roundabouts. Like this isn't exactly 7.4. People with like $200,000 per annum was like a 7.7. No, 7.4, 200,000. And then people with $2 million per annum income was like 7.9.
Yeah.
So, which is nearly 10%, which is like a lot happier. But it's not as much as you'd think, but it definitely does make you happy and buy your happiness. But
I feel like it doesn't. I feel like you hit the nail on the head. It doesn't make you happier, but it allows for more things to be put in place, which can lead to happiness.
Well,
it's like it's less pressure.
Well, as I said before, when we opened up, when you look at the list of things that keep people up at night, health is the first one. Money and financial is the second one. So anyone that says money doesn't matter is kidding themselves.
No, that's right.
Of course.
That's why I didn't specifically didn't say that, because I know that what you're saying is 100% factual.
Yeah.
I'm talking on the positive side. Money can only make you X amount happier, but it can make you very unhappy if you don't have it.
There's a plateau.
It's a huge...
There's a plateau.
Yeah.
100%. Because how much is enough?
Yeah.
Like, wealth, what's wealthy? Like, I'm wealthy because I have $1 million.
Yeah, it's all relative.
Or I'm wealthy because I have no money, but I got a beautiful wife at home with a baby on the way, and I don't necessarily want for anything else.
Yeah.
Life's good. I'm wealthy right now because of that.
Yeah, same.
Mate, people in Vanuatu would say I'm wealthy because I have a piece of tin over my head.
100%.
Because some people don't have that, so that's their that's their relative wealth. With your point just before on when you were talking about in another life you could have the Brave and so forth and whatever, and you could be going down that passion path. The thing to think about when you say something like that is the fact is you'd probably be very successful, very happy, very content if you went either way. The problem with a lot of things that people think about in their mind, and this is what I talked to Daryl a lot about when I was doing talking to my psychologist when I was going through a rough trot, was in all forms of life, people think of things as there's a yes, this is the correct path that I should be going on, and there's a no, if I go down this path, this is wrong.
Sliding
and I'm
doors.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But the thing is, with most people, if you're a good person and you got good morals and you fucking work hard or whatever,
you're gonna
end up happy on either path that you choose to go down.
Yeah.
So it's just about making a decision, like you said.
Yeah.
You had to make a decision because you summed it up and you're like, well, passion, okay, that's cool, but, X amount of freedom and I'm going to find another passion when I'm at that. That's your decision. And either path probably would have ended up to the same point with a pregnant wife and a happy baby and a terrible dog that pisses you off all the time.
Well, just on that one, I mean, and I absolutely love what I do right now. I get my alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and I'm so keen to get into the office every day that I skip breakfast.
Yeah.
Like I'll go on,
whatever.
Shit,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't go into the office that early.
Yeah.
But my alarm goes off.
Yeah, you loser.
My alarm goes off at 5. I try to do a bit of meditation.
Yes.
A bit of mindfulness sort of thing, and then maybe if I do a little bit of exercise. But I'm in the office between 7:30 and 8, and sometimes I don't leave till 7:30 at night, and that's
early.
because I want to be there.
Yeah, getting it done.
So I love
good.
what I do, but I'm a bloody competitive beast, and I had that with an entrepreneurial mindset. And when I came together with the two other blokes at the time and said, hey, you know, we were early adopters of CrossFit in Australia, and there's an opportunity here. Let's see what we can do. And we had a great time, and
so for the listeners, sorry to cut you off, Huey, because
we should introduce the Brave.
There's 30 people that we know that listen to the show, and there's actually a bunch of people from all over. We've been listening to 125 countries that have never heard of what the Brave is.
That's right.
So for the people that are listening, if you're listening and you don't know what Huey's talking about, it's a clothing company that Huey and some mates started up and you sold, right? So that's basically
it's a through the CrossFit community, the CrossFit world. We wanted a bigger part of that. We were never going to be gym owners, but we loved our CrossFit and we wanted to be a bigger part of that. So we had the concept of creating the Brave, which was, you know, for us, a lot of people look at it as a clothing apparel type company. For us, it was a lifestyle, and that.
I knew I should have said that. As soon as I said it, I thought
you
wouldn't like that.
Well, that's not exactly true, Bill. Now, remember that axe.
Yeah, you've just ripped my soul out.
Yeah, that's right.
Shit.
But yeah, so it's an Aussie CrossFit lifestyle athletic apparel brand.
Yeah,
and we took it to a point being 3 people working part-time on it. We took it to a point that we couldn't take it any further unless 1 or 2 of us went full-time on it, and we wound up selling it. And I'm proud to say that it still lives on and has flourishing, thebrave.com.au.
Yes, I'm currently wearing
I still get a cut.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I do.
That's bullshit.
For a period.
Seriously,
but
hashtag the Brave. Hashtag the Brave.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know what? Like, I don't know how many people are of a CrossFit background that listen to this. I'm not.
Started off with a fair few. It's evolved.
But
a bit
I mean,
now,
we jumped on board Chad McKay, who was like an absolute stalwart and sort of godfather of Aussie CrossFit, and he off the back of him, we got some incredible exposure in the States and elsewhere. So. But yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Yeah.
But I probably wouldn't have it's dead set serious. I wouldn't have a wife. I would not have a wife right now if I had to continue. And by the way, I also took on the Australian distribution rights of a Danish health supplement brand at the same time.
Fucking hell.
And was doing all this at once. And it actually wasn't until I finally moved away from the Brave that I decided that I wanted to ask Joe to marry me. But before that, I was so stressed. I was an insomniac, dead set, under some serious pressure, and my whole life was a bloody cloud. And I'd had a major back surgery at the same time. It was all kind of happening, and it wasn't until I moved away from that I got some real clarity in my life and knew where I wanted to go.
And so, So how long did you start? So how long ago did you start the Brave, sorry?
2011.
And then you just recently gave it away?
I think the deal was actually done April 2016.
Yeah. Okay, yep. And so what was some of the stuff that was like, what was the sort of the demand of the workload initially? Like,
oh, mate, we could not have picked a more difficult industry to go into, like the rag trade.
Yes.
I mean, we started printing on blank T-shirts out of the US, American Apparel. The dollar was like $1.10. It was like, that was almost unprecedented. We were loving life. Oh, mate, seriously. We before we started this...
So I just want to pick your brain on the workload, essentially,
Well, I mean, I was going to say, like, before we jumped on started sort of recording, we're talking about vlogs and this, that, and the other. And I was talking to Ace, who was one of my partners at the time. I said to him the other day, dude, if we had have done a vlog for our weekly meetings, that thing would be a bestseller. We almost came to blows like that often. It was
really?
We were so stressed.
Yeah.
Like the workload. I mean, to anyone who's listening out here that's a business owner, mate, you can't compare what it's like to get a business off the ground from scratch versus being an employee. You can't compare it.
Yeah.
So to try and do an 8 to 10 hour business day and then have to and to be brutally honest, there were times when I was actually doing a 4 hour business day. Like I was rorting the system and having to deal with Brave related issues.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's like, oh, hey, it's Cyril from Austin, Texas, the guy that does printing your T-shirts. Yeah, I screwed up the print of your 500.
Yeah.
You know, that are
Cyril's
due.
a fuckwit though. Like, he's actually going to be listening right now.
That are due for the CrossFit Richmond, event next week, and they're supposed to have been on a plane 2 days ago, and now they're not coming, and it's like, mate, like that kind of stuff.
Shit, isn't it?
Like that, your small business hinges on your reputation. You have nothing but your reputation at that point in time.
Yep.
And then you go to China, and then you start trying to produce your own apparel and trying to get like the fits right. And I didn't have a lot to do with that. Ace did, and poor old Ace. Like this is the business partner at the time. He's
tall bloke.
The tall bloke, yeah. The fiery that doesn't need a ladder to get cats out of trees.
Exactly.
Love Ace.
Love Ace. Yeah, he'll listen to this.
He's a big man.
Good quiff too. Really good quiff going at the moment. And handlebar mustache.
Yeah, he's got rocking it's a red handlebar mustache.
Yeah.
He could be Mr. Money Mustache.
Yeah.
But he was the one that dealt with that aspect of it. And I'd be turning up like, Ace, why can't you just do it like this and just get him on the fucking plane and just send him over? It's like, bro, you have no idea. I'm dealing with this 17-year-old Chinese girl that's like on like instant messaging, and it's just not.
Jeez, are they still together?
Well, he's not married yet, so maybe I don't know.
There you go. Good old Chong Dang.
Anyway, but I don't know how to sort of unpack that anymore. But all I can say is that the disparity between what people think it's like and what it's actually like.
Oh yeah.
Like I got a mate of mine who was in corporate, like commercial lending, so for many years, and he just 3 years ago he went out on his own, decided to start up his own mortgage broking business. At the time when he had like a 2-year-old and one on the way, nothing else behind him, and he still like just to get that business up and running. Like where there's a difference between having food on the table for your family or versus not, like you'd be amazed at what you're willing to do. And it goes back to, I was thinking about what you said about your old man kind of pushing you a lot. I don't know your father, but your parents only want the best for you long term, and they probably don't want you to struggle the way they did.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and of course, money in that sense puts food on the table and puts a roof over your head and clothing on your back and this, that, and the other. So
it just makes it easy, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I see this guy. He works 16 to 8. He goes home, puts his kids to bed, kisses his wife, and goes back to the office. He's working 18-hour days to get his business off the ground.
Yeah.
Now that business is now successful, and he's going to be. But
wow,
60 to 80, no, 90% of businesses fail.
Yeah.
Do you a question to what you were talking about with like setting stuff up? You're exactly right. My dad wanted me to not be a tradie, basically. Or if I was, he wanted me to have a bucket load of investment properties from a very early age and then, ride them into the sunset. Obviously set myself up. So, but the thing was, dad...
I'm going to talk superannuation. It's such a boring word, but superannuation. Let's talk about that after you finished.
Yeah, we definitely won't be talking about superannuation.
We've just gone from hookers to cocaine, and old mate over here wants to talk about super.
Yeah, have a look at him.
Yeah, has he listened to the show? But my old man had an interesting quandary, though, because my mum and dad always... My dad so badly wanted me to have money so I didn't have to work as hard as he did. My parents got divorced about 3 years ago now, nearly, and they probably should have done it 25 years ago. My brother's only 23, but he would say different. He wanted them to kind of stay together. I thought it was best for both of them and for everybody to not watch A Loveless Marriage and break it up way back in the day. Anyway, the thing that they stressed about most from my furthest memory, my father's memory, is money. But the thing was, my dad had so many investment properties. Not so many. At the most, he probably had 6 to 8 at one point.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, and he had, maybe a couple of $1 million of equity. We had an okay family house that wasn't finished. Skirting boards weren't done. Lights were holes in the roof where there were supposed to be lights. I'm talking for 10 years,
Yeah.
And all Mum wanted was the house finished, and she wanted to not have fucking debt collectors basically knocking on our door every day because his overdraft, Dad's overdraft, and I don't know whether he did a lot of things really well, my dad, but I always butted heads with him because I wanted him to take. They would stress about money. They were equity fucking not rich, it's all relative like we say, but for where we're at, then they were equity rich. They had money in fucking assets to be very, very comfortable. But they were so cash poor that every single week tradie accounts are knocking on the doors. We're getting bank letters that are saying this is defaulted, whatever. And I might be, I didn't see the books and stuff, but this is my basically idea of how a lot of it worked.
Yep.
And I always used to plead with my old man, sell half your fucking shit. Sell half your shit because this is like 5 years ago when they were still together, but everyone was still rough and Mum was always complaining and they're always stressing about money. I'm like, sell half your shit. When do you want to be comfortable? Like you want to be comfortable, and this is talk. I'll say the word super. But people talk about being comfortable when you're 65.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fuck that. What are you going to do when you're 65? Maybe now when you can probably live to it. We're probably going to live to 110 healthily, maybe longer, whatever. I don't want to go too sci-fi right now, but ideally, like Mum and Dad were coming up to 50 years old, and the problem was the idea was right, Huey. The idea was right, investing and make yourself comfortable, but the execution wasn't there.
Yeah, exactly.
And now, they're not together. And I just think, had they not had that financial stress day to day, then things could be very different. And they still would have had investment properties. They still would have had passive income. They would have had all that. But it's a sad story of like somebody that.
It's tough for people that aren't. Well, I mean, this is going to be a big call, but I'll see what you think about it. It's tough for people that don't have like experience in mindfulness to leave that stress on the table, not let it interfere with like the relationship. Or it comes to like the degree where it's so stressful that it does put added stress on the relationship.
Oh yeah, I mean, a bit of mindfulness would help the relationship for sure.
I think, okay, so yeah, look, the only thing that I think it's an interesting point that you raise, and I guess not to come in with my community service announcement here, but I mean, that's what financial planners do. Is to speak to people like your father and come to a professional and say, look, this is what we have right now. This is what I think I want to do, and this is where I think I want us to be, but I don't know how. I think maybe I'm 80% of the way there, but I don't know what to do with the last 20. And we often become the mediator between the husband and the wife.
Yeah.
And it's a way of them to be able to sort of express their true feelings in an environment to someone else where I guess they're looking for a bit of reassurance from me or someone else to say, look, she's right or he's right, or we obviously have to be very diplomatic about that, and we never would say you're right, you're wrong.
Yeah.
But in that situation, we do see that quite a bit, to be honest. And it's if we don't give our honest opinion of, listen, you got to sell 3 properties here because you got too much debt. You might have equity over there, but the rent. The one thing I'd say, about we put together portfolios. We create an asset allocation, and it can be anything from, depending on what you need to achieve, a bit of cash because you always needed some liquidity, fixed interest, Australian shares, property, international shares. So we are not like stockbrokers. We don't trade portfolios. We don't make money off trading because that's a bit of a conflict there in itself. Our job is to design an asset allocation that's in the best interest of the client and to create diversification. So if there's a property downturn, that you don't have all your eggs in one basket, and then you've got tenancy risk if they leave, and you've got no cash flow and all that kind of stuff. That is our job, to bulletproof a strategy. So I guess, why do I do what I do? Why do I love doing what I do? It's for that specific reason, so that we can take that stress out of people's lives.
Well, you're literally helping people on a massive scale. Like, you, not to get to suck you off in a massive way, but like we'll talk about that after the show.
Yeah, cool.
But like you're helping people with their relationships.
We have a huge responsibility.
Yeah,
and we don't take that lightly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've definitely made me want to come and see you, mate, for sure.
So all right. Yeah. So if you were Tommy, what would you do? So Tommy, for example, because there's probably a lot of our listeners are probably Tommy now.
Yeah,
a lot of them.
Sick ass.
Oh man, I wish the listeners could have seen your face then. Yeah. But
he liked that one, didn't he?
I was right around it. Yeah, I really knew it. So clearly, I'll never have a corporate job now.
What would you? What would you do? I mean, what would you do?
The first thing I would do is go and Google compounding interest.
I've got a compound interest calculator in my phone at all times.
Are you serious?
No, I'm dead. I'm dead.
Jeez, I got a heart on then.
I'm dead serious.
That's a nice dong, mate.
I'm deadly serious. But it was for the growth
interest
of our
on
podcast.
top of interest that grows on interest.
Yeah, it was the snowball effect basically.
Yeah,
and it was because
if you have $100 and you invest that and you get a 10% return, you're going to earn $10 on it. Mm-hmm. So the next time you go and reinvest that money for another 10% return, you're not reinvesting $100, you're investing $110.
Yes.
It's exactly the growth we talk about with our podcast.
That's what we want.
That's the compound interest. When we do the podcast projections, it's compound interest.
Of course, of course.
And you put that, and that's I was going to talk about, superannuation. Well, hey, this is real talk.
Yeah, that's right.
Real boring talk.
And this has been Adventure Radio, guys. Thanks. See you next week.
If you're Tommy, right, the first thing I'd find out is, do I have any super and where's it going? And is it in 5 different funds? Because it probably is through if you do work in hospitality or go and do this, that, and the other. Put it in put it in an industry fund. I'm not naming any names because I've got to be careful about giving product advice.
Yeah.
But put it in, look for a good industry fund with low fees and good returns. You'd be amazed by putting an extra $500 or $1,000 in your superannuation fund in your early 20s. Dude, you got 40 years where you just don't even know what's going on there. The compounding effect over that period of time, just by putting an extra $500 or $1,000, you could wind up with an extra, I don't know, $100,000.
Can I ask you
over 40 years?
Can I play massive devil's advocate there and try and do my best job to shoot super down? So super, obviously, if you say you're going to end up with $100,000 over 40 years with super through the compound interest, did you say just in interest alone? Is that what you're talking about? Just to be clear.
No, by putting in an extra amount now and getting the compounding impact of that over time.
So little things, big things.
Grow. Can we do the?
I think we should do these ones.
So with your super, because how much do we lose of that in inflation, basically? Because you have to take into account 3%. 3%. So with your super, so if you're investing in super, how much super are we putting in?
What's the nominal rate?
How much should your super grow?
9.5% of your income goes into super. So whether you whether you like super or not, I don't really care because you've got super. So you may as well know what you're doing with it and what return you're getting on it because it's your fucking money.
Yeah. So for people, you know how people that like to pour more money into their
salary
super,
sacrifice,
more money, salary sacrifice, more money into their super, for example. Just as a question, because I like to always, because people say, well, I had lunch with, do you know Jazza Quinn? Mates with, I thought you might have known him through.
Oh, hang on.
Jazza.
You
worked at On Edge? Yeah, Jazza.
Yeah, sorry. Of course I do.
Yeah, so I had lunch with Jazza 2 days ago, and we were talking to this guy who he just was eavesdropping on the conversation. He was actually like good at the start, and then we started talking about our mates getting divorced, and he jumped in another conversation. We're like, hang on a sec, mate, how about you just fuck off now? Yeah? But anyway, he was telling us about how he invested in real estate and bought his house in Brighton or Elwood, whatever, 30 years ago. I bought it for, you hear those stories. I bought a house in Brighton for $150.
I had a paperclip.
Yeah, but I mean,
bought a house with it.
Yeah, but I mean,
wanker.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, but like you got to take into account.
Hang on, I live in Elwood.
That guy with the dog. It's got 4 tails.
Get talking about super. But, I mean, because a lot of people don't understand how inflation works and how it affects the money that they invest. Like, obviously, real estate goes up 10% a year, whatever, in Australia over 150 years. So you're ahead of the game. There's 7% there that you're going to have more money than the money you're losing because things are costing more.
Yes.
But that's one thing that people... Would you agree? Am I wrong here in saying that people don't understand inflation at all?
All right, Kyle, I'm just gonna pick you up on one
Go for
point. You got to be really careful. I get that you're a property guy, and the long-term return on...
I'm not really a property guy.
Well, you know property.
Yes.
Or the other thing I say, the Australian way is bricks and mortar, and I get that because it's something that's tangible. You can look, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can drive past it, and it makes you feel good. The other thing I'd say is that's not the only asset that's out there that can get you a return. The returns on Australian shares versus Australian property over a longer period of time are pretty similar.
Yeah.
But to your point, you're dead right. And the best way of explaining that is if you have $100,000 and you invest that in a term deposit at 7% per annum, and this is how the mentality of some older people is like, I'm risk averse, I don't want to take any risks, I can't afford to lose my money. So I'll take my $100,000, I'll put it in a term deposit at 7%, which this is just playing with figures here.
Yep.
And I get $7,000 a year. And every year I get that $7,000. Easy, awesome, amazing. Your $100,000 has a diminishing value over time.
That's right.
Because that $7,000 does not buy you the same amount year on year on year because of the impact of inflation, which is why you always have to have a portion of your assets in a growth style to outperform the impact of inflation.
Basically, you're making, with that analogy that you just made, with that example you've just made, you're basically making on the $7,000 that this person's making, they're basically able to spend $4,000 worth on goods because 3%.
Not quite. Sorry, not quite. Just because you've used 3% being $3,000, but 3% of seven grand is like bugger all.
Yeah.
It's a lot lower.
I know, but
the point is the same.
The cost of goods
the
across the board got 3%.
Up. So you're
only 4% better off, right?
But to survive, yes.
That's the point I'm making.
Sorry, 4% better. To survive,
you're basically thinking you're up 7%, but you're not. You're up 4%.
Yeah.
So inflation's catching up.
Yeah. Well, that's why we have to look at the nominal rate, though, isn't it?
What's that?
The nominal rate is the...
Tommy's thrown in.
He's researched a few.
He was mucking around on Google before. I thought, nominal rate of return.
Man, I've got an economics major.
He does.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. We shouldn't We should not underestimate you.
Oh, you should.
Hey,
definitely
safe
should.
to.
Before we lose the topic, what was your point about super?
No, I wanted to know... I can't remember what my point was.
Why would you want to put all your money away for later?
You appeared to have a problem. Yeah, you're talking about people putting extra money into super.
Yes.
And if you're going...
Because if you're putting... So, does super... Because I don't know...
Burn the hand is worth two in the bush? Are you going off that?
I don't know fuck all about super. I really don't. So, does super... Is super compounded? Like, do you earn interest on your super?
It depends on the thing you're with.
See, now I get it. Everyone's turned off, so it doesn't matter. Everyone's turned off half an hour ago. But I actually
believe people
this
are
is the
turning it
stuff
on.
that I get really excited about.
I'm turned on.
Right, so superannuation, and this is the media.
I already know the answer. I fucked up with that question.
It's okay.
Anyway.
But now I'm about to drive this right down your goal.
Yeah, he's going to kill us here.
He's come
with
right
his
in
full
close to me.
fucking bar stonker right there. He's so up and about.
The thing is that
He's already jizzed.
mate, it's all money. Hey, listen, I didn't even hear that. It's all money, right?
Yeah.
So
We
I like
understand
money.
that.
Okay.
No,
But super.
Hence the jizz.
Super is a structure. It's like you invest in a family trust. I told you, if this happened, I told you from the start, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, bro, sure.
I'm going to keep going.
6 years twice. 12 seconds.
It's just a structure. It's just a different ownership structure for your money. But what you can do with that money is exactly the same as what you can do personally.
Yeah,
so
I get it.
The rates of return, but the beauty of it is that instead of getting taxed at your marginal tax rate, the maximum tax you can pay in super is 15%.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the compounding impact is much, much greater because you're not losing whatever it is, let's say your average is like 30%. Well, you're not losing 30% of your money to then go and reinvest or 30% of whatever your investment earnings are. you lose 15%.
I've gone a bit hard on super here, I feel.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
I'm actually getting a lot out of it. No, really.
But I mean,
I'm
serious.
Really?
At the end of the day, you know, yeah, we live for the now, but we plan for the future. That's human nature. Just about all people will do that. And once you hit a certain age, maybe you hit like 45 or maybe even a bit like maybe 40 to 45. Like people are starting. We talk to these people. They're like, "Why are you here to see us?" Well, I need to start planning for retirement. And even though you're only 40, 45, it's like, yeah, shit, you got. But it's like, well, it's only 20 years away. Like I've got to start planning for it. You're going to start to care a lot more about what's in your superannuation fund because, as an advisor, if I can say, well, that extra $1,000 you put in, you know, maybe even you did that because at that point in time, you know, this isn't my advice because if people are individual objectives and so forth, maybe to save for a house. Well, if you save for a house or you're paying off a mortgage, I'm not telling you to put extra money into super. But if you have that ability, by the time you hit 45, you're like, oh, I'm worried about retirement. And I'll be looking at your super fund go, okay, well, you got $500,000 in superannuation right now and that'll keep earning and compounding for the next 20 years. Mate, go away and enjoy yourself because your retirement's looked after.
Yeah.
Yep. And then how does that get affected when so with super you can choose where your super is invested, right? Whether it's in property, bricks and mortar and shares, or whether it's shares, whether it's bricks and mortar individually, right? Is that correct? You can under certain investment, but most people just chuck it in the growth option, and you get an asset allocation. Because what happened with what happened when the global financial crisis hit and everybody lost their super? That was for people that were invested in all their super was invested in contributors that had share portfolios, right? All shares, and then because a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Explain it to me because I don't understand exactly how it worked, but a lot of people lost basically all their super when we had that downturn,
it wasn't really. It wasn't all invested. Like it wasn't really theirs.
So this is the bit that I get. That I'm glad you raised it because it does actually piss me off. Is that people didn't lose super. Like during the GFC, the headlines were superannuation halves. Superannuation's a bad investment. As I said before, superannuation is just a structure. You make the decision as to where you invest your money.
Yeah.
And you could have had it all in cash, in super. Good luck to you. You didn't lose any money during the GFC. You wouldn't want to be, like, for the most part, assets, even at their low point, or even at the height of the market prior to the GFC, most markets have now, even after the fall, have now recovered and gone well past that point. So if you're still sitting in cash, and some idiots are still sitting in cash because they tried to, quote unquote, time the market, you're a fool. You are a fool. I'm sorry. But anyway, getting back to your point, if you invested in shares and those shares, I don't want to overcomplicate this, but if those shares fell, but they were still okay companies, like the banks, Woolworths, whatever, you didn't lose any money because it was all on paper. If you made a decision to sell at the low point of the market, then you lost money because you cashed in.
Yeah.
But if you hold those companies for the long term,
they're back to where they are.
They're better off.
Yeah.
And this comes back to me, what I do as a professional, I bring people back off the plank. That's what we do. That's what financial planners says. Sometimes it's not what they don't pay me to make decisions. They pay me to help them not make decisions as well.
Making them confident again so they don't freak out and take all that shit back out.
Make poor decisions based on your heart, not your head. Because as hard as it was for some people, the smart money was actually reinvesting into the market during the GFC. Because if a lot of people have heard of Warren Buffett, he's the most successful investor in the world. He's like the third richest guy in the world. He's he's known for these sterling quotes, the most fantastic quotes.
Yeah.
One of them is, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. So basically, when everyone else is selling, you go in and buy hard. And the other one, which is just a cool one, is it's only when the tide goes out that you realise who's been swimming naked. And that is, you can take all the risks in the world when the market's going up because everybody's making money, even on bad investments, highly geared, whatever. But when that market pulls back, when the tide goes out, there are people sitting there, swinging their dick in the breeze.
Yeah. So getting back to because one of the reasons why I really wanted you on the show, as well as apart from just being a mate, but it's your passion for helping the youth in making these long-term financial decisions that are going to benefit them and all that sort of stuff, and just to sort of use you for a personal agenda at the moment. Like for me, I'm like I said before, like I'm not broke, but like I'm obviously not killing it with money, and I'm fine with that because my biggest passion is talking shit and getting really good content out there for the listeners on this podcast. It's the podcast. I love this podcast. Yep. I love doing the YouTube stuff and all this sort of thing. But I understand that they're purely just passion based, and you and I follow similar people on YouTube, and they always say the money will come later and all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, it would be good to have something set up right now, just because I think it's smart for me to learn how to be financially smart. Yeah, with all this sort of stuff. So I feel like for me right now, I still want to do a lot of traveling and all this sort of thing, and I feel like at some point I will want to get some sort of investment. Have an asset so that I have money. Basically, I want to achieve financial independence and have a passive income. Yeah, that's just very smart to look forward to. But if I came to you, would you look at all that and go, the first thing you need to do is realise a financial goal with all this sort of stuff? Because I just don't have one.
No, not necessarily.
I can't think of what I would want to do.
I think you need to work out what's most important to you.
Yeah.
And by the sound of what you've said to me, what's most important to you is living your life right now, and maybe travelling and whatever. I don't know how much level of investment goes into the things you're passionate about. Yeah. Maybe nothing, but it's what is you. The first thing we would say to you versus anyone else, doesn't matter who you are, is what are your objectives. I can't tell you that. Like, I can't tell anyone that you need to have Tom, you need to have a financial plan.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of wanker am I?
Yeah.
I can't. Well, we all know that. I can't tell you.
Not what you've got, mate.
I can't tell you where you should be. Like, you have to figure that out for yourself. So, like, I'm a big goal. I'm a big goal setter, and it's not necessarily financially driven. So what are the things that are most important to you right now? That'd be the best sort of starting point.
Yeah.
And if you kind of unpack that and we have a bit of a chat about that, and you say, well, look, okay, these things are really important to me right now. They're my priorities. I want to travel. Well, maybe you should be still saving money and setting up a budget, but that's because your goal is to have 10 grand by the end of the year to travel. Awesome. Like that was mine at your age. Others will be, I want 10 grand at the end of the year because that'll mean I've then got enough to go and buy a house or invest in a share portfolio or whatever it might be. That's their goal.
Yeah.
But if then at the same time, if you go, well, yeah, okay, I want to do that, but yeah, I want to start something. Cool. Well, let's work out how much you earn, how much you spend, and how much you might want to put away just for a rainy day. So when you hit 30, you might have 50 grand in the bank. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's just, I think it's at the moment I'm kind of thinking like, saving is good because saving is good. Now it's good to have money in the bank, but like I just don't.
But that's probably not a bad thing, though.
Yeah, I know.
But
that's not a smart goal.
No, but
I can't adhere to that.
Well, yeah, that's fair enough. But for me, I'm sure you could make a goal out of it. Yeah. Like, sitting down with Huey or, actually putting some real thought into it. I'm sure you could come up with something. With somebody's guidance, you could probably do that. Like, but from outside looking in, what I reckon, I've never really heard you talk too much about money, but we talk about money a bit. But it seems like you're loving what you're doing right now, want to travel, want to work on the podcast passion project, but you're at that point in your life where you feel like, but I do want to start thinking about having something there.
Absolutely.
And so it might be, like Huey says, it might be
rainy day sort of stuff.
You save your fucking for your holiday and for whatever you want to do, but you've got another plan that you put a little bit extra money aside, like Huey said, in some bank account, some fucking that you never touch, whatever, mate. But that's Yeah, just because you don't have a full plan, you can still save money for the sake of saving money because you'll figure out a plan or you can make a plan.
Yeah.
And again, having a chat about that between the two of us, if I could say to you, righto, put away this amount of money, invest it in this. Statistically, if you invest it, and I'm not talking about a growth asset, it could be a term deposit giving you, it's a bugger all at the moment, 2.5%, but an investment that's going to give you a return. And if you keep putting the same amount on a consistent basis and you consistently get the same kind of average return over 5 years, this is what you will have. And what you can then go and do with that is X, Y, Z. And then you might look at that and go, shit, I like this. I like the sound of that. Those numbers stack up to me. I'm going to commit to that. But at the moment, you're like, oh, yeah, money's in my bank account. It's burning a hole in my pocket. Yeah, it looks kind of cool now, but what am I doing with it? But that's because you don't have a goal in mind.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But it's like, you go back to the people that, you alluded to a couple of, we follow the same people on YouTube and this, that, and the other. I mean, they're kind of, some of them are a different kettle of fish in relation to, like, they're just like, I will work 20 hours a day until I have taken over the world.
Yeah.
I happen to be doing it in... The point is that if you are going to do that, like Bill says, do it and invest in yourself, being Adventure Fit Travel or this podcast or your YouTube channel, even though at this point in time, that's not earning an income.
Of course.
But invest in... Whilst you're working as a trainer at Schwartz's CrossFit... Great. That's still giving you a lot of other time to invest in yourself. So you've got a fallback plan. You're not like dreaming. But those types of people that we're like, you Gary Vaynerchuk's of the world, like, he's an intense individual that is like, I will not stop until I've conquered the world.
Yeah.
He's not the New York Jets.
Exactly right.
To own the New York Jets.
Exactly. But he's not saying, I'll conquer the world, but I still want to play my guitar. I don't want to travel.
Yeah, it's
so
true.
like, I think you just need to find. I think here I am, like trying to. I'm your guidance counselor.
Yeah,
I think you got to look. You got to do a bit of soul searching a little bit. Not put any pressure on yourself because it'll come. Like, dude, you're fucking young. But eventually, you'll figure out where you want to go, and then you can sort of really hone in on it. I guess. That would be my thought. But
yeah, it's interesting as well because I just like. No, you're right. Yeah, I've just got to like. I feel like I just need an idea.
But I feel like my interpretation of you is that you are actually a very driven, very motivated person.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't be doing your YouTube channel, you wouldn't be doing this podcast, and you wouldn't be having these thoughts if you actually didn't have a little bit of a flicker of a fire burning inside. I think that's probably just needs to be fueled a bit more, and then you'll figure it out.
I think hanging around with me all day, every day, and people,
you're a fucking legend.
No, people older than people older than you.
Yeah,
like Tommy said to me,
I've converted him. See, he's gone all serious.
Yeah. This is the male penis.
But because I spoke to Tommy a while ago and said, you were stressing about, I need to have this and I need to have that. I need to be doing this. I need to be doing that. And I said to Tommy, I'm like, fuck, do ya? I'm like, man, when I was fucking your age, all I was doing was taking party drugs, drinking fucking 4 nights away. I wasn't really, and I was all I wanted to do was travel the world. And, that's cool. That was what I wanted to do. But I've got Adventure Fit, but, you got all the time in the world, man, to figure that shit out. You're not even 25.
Yeah.
It's good that you are thinking this way, but you also don't have to rush yourself. Like, I think you're wiser than most people in this regard for their age. I think that. I think I know you think way more deeply about the world than people that are my age and Huey's age. And nearly anyone that I know. And that's a fucking great thing. So you'll figure it out, man. You'll figure it out. And you don't... If I was you, I'd be 24 and just... But, put those thoughts into practice and, you want to speak to Huey, but you don't need to rush it.
I don't want to say I don't want to say that I disagree with that, but I wouldn't say, and I'm not trying to be like
disagree if you disagree. Just say I'm not going to be offended.
Of course not. It's not that I disagree because I'm really picking on something that you said, and you may not have been so meant it so literally. But I don't prescribe to the notion of saying, oh, yeah, look, you're 20, 24, not even 25. Just chill, man. Just relax. It's like, no, fuck that.
But you said that yourself. You said when you were that age, that was your goal. That's what you wanted to do. You just wanted to travel.
That was my choice.
Yes.
I don't push that and say, you should do that because you're only 24, and that's what I did when I was 24.
I'm not, and I wasn't pushing it. I'm not forcing him to
exactly.
do it. I'm just saying, I think that he... fair enough.
I didn't mean to take. I hate taking people so literally because I hate it when people do that to me. Sometimes we're kind of just talking like blue sky thinking sort of stuff. But I think it's good because other people might feel the same way. It's like there are people out there who did what you did, Bill, when you were 19, but they didn't stop.
Yeah.
And good luck to them because that's what they wanted to 100%. Do. So in your case, if you make a choice and say, well, I want it all. I want to hone in on something and give it everything I've got.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't still take 3 months off a year and go and travel.
Yeah.
It just means you've got to have some really defined goals about how you're going to get there. Like that's something I am now, I guess, with the benefit of experience or just a bit of experience is that
saggy balls.
Yeah, that's right.
Good pair of balls.
That was before the show. We're having that joke, weren't we? So the listeners are just thinking,
fuck, where do saggy balls come from? Yeah. It's a prerequisite to coming on the show. You have to show us your balls.
My parents don't listen to this. Look, all I'm saying is that if you actually can define exactly where you want to go, whether it be, well, I want to go to India by midway through next year, and I need this amount of money to do it, and I want this
3 cents.
And I also want to be at this point with a business move or my YouTube channel or whatever. Okay, well just define it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all. Otherwise, you kind of meander.
Exactly.
And you don't want to get to 30 and go, oh yeah, maybe I should have done. You just don't want to get to any time in life and go, oh, I wish I had that time again.
My thing is that like I'm very, very, very impulsive. I'm really good at starting things, and then I can like lose track of it because I clearly. Well,
you've just started a new relationship, haven't you?
Yeah, I have to start. Yeah, Derek in corporate finance. He's, yeah. Well, that's the other one. No, but my thing is like I can just start things and I can go really, really right into it 100%. Like I'm very much a phases person, but like with the stuff that I'm doing now, like I don't want to be a phases person. Like to be completely honest with you, my goal with the YouTube channel and my book is to change the world's view of anxiety.
Yeah,
because I feel like it's looked at wrong, and what we talk about and what I've spoken to you about little bits, and the way I talk about it in my book is the way that it needs to be, where it's like we can talk about chicks that we want to fuck, we can talk about like traveling the world, we can talk about like whatever, but we can also talk about how we're having a shit time.
Yeah,
and like I'm so passionate about it because the type of anxiety that I had was a scenario where, not to say like I had it worse, because I mean everyone has shit in their lives, but for me specifically, the type of shit that I had was something where I felt like I couldn't talk to anyone about it because whenever I would say it, and I would be more than happy to say it, people didn't understand it.
Yeah,
and I mean having thoughts about like having intercourse with people in your family members, going to hell. Having to pick up rubbish and ghosts and all that sort of stuff are very funny concepts, but they get me up all night, and like whatever that is, whatever I experienced, physical traits and symptoms were the exact same as what he gets when he has social anxiety. It's what you get when you have stress over finances or starting a business, or what a heroin addict gets. The physical symptoms and the analytical approach that the anxiety does is all the same. And like if we can create this thing where we all understand that anxiety is the exact same in everyone, irrespective of what the specific thoughts tell us, that will change the world, and it will bring everyone together, irrespective of the irony that it keeps us so separated, because that's what fear does. And like that is my only goal, that like I just, for lack of a better way of saying it, like it just hasn't fucking gotten away from my head.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to like define it into a smart system. And like the podcast, because I love doing the podcast because I feel open that every time we get a person on the show, like I can just talk about whatever. There's nothing too politically incorrect to talk about it, which I think is great. Like, we should be able to talk about anything, you know? This is why we're so passionate about it.
Yeah.
Like, the podcast is awesome. Like, the YouTube video stuff I'm loving. But I just don't know how to define those into smart systems. So that's kind of like what I'm thinking on at the moment, yeah.
Well, I think the first thing, and again, like, I mean, this is just me giving my opinion now. This is nothing else. But I think that the first thing that was good, a good thing to hear you say is that the purpose of a YouTube channel and your book is not to make money.
Yeah.
Because if that was your sole passion, that passion will die pretty quick.
Yeah.
And people's bullshit meters are pretty good in Australia, and particularly in Australia, but generally people's bullshit meters these days are pretty good.
Yeah.
Particularly on YouTube and social media. And they'll see straight through it. So, you know.
I actually want to get the book out there for free. I just want to have a Kickstarter so I can make hard copies of it, but I don't feel like I should make money off anxiety.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong
like,
with. There's nothing wrong.
I want to be broke, mate.
Hey, well, hang on. Yeah. I think. Yeah, I have to correct myself a little bit on that and because you also can't. It's all very holier than now and pure to go. Money. I just want to do this and that's like. Well, hang on a sec. If I'm going to devote this much time to it, I also need to live.
I want to sustain it.
You can make more. You can make more good in the world, Tommy, making more money.
Yeah,
you know, like
I want to sustain what I'm doing.
William McCaskill, that my favourite ever Sam Harris podcast with this dude who's effective altruism. So he gives away, he earns, I think it's like 250. He's a tenured professor in the UK somewhere. He earns like £250,000 or whatever a year, something like that, and he gives most of it up to like £50,000 away. And he had this conversation about the problem with like being holier than thou, like Huey said, is if you have X amount of money and you give, 80% of it away and you're like, yeah, cool, or like the ability to earn X amount of money and you give the ability, 80% of that ability away, that 80%, it's like the compounding interest that Huey keeps talking about. That money that you're not going to make is money that you're not going to be able to invest in making other people happy and more positive
expanding
impacts
on your
in the
own
world.
thing. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just going to be like, here's my book, there we go, got nothing. Like, you should be able to build. I'm not saying. I mean, there's that thank you book from the Thank You Water book. Which is free. It's for a donation. So that the concept is out there. People love it. Whatever. But I think the idea, in my opinion, the idea that you have for it is really nice. But I think you're going to be better served, and you're going to serve other people better by trying to make as much money as you can, because then you're going to have all the options that Huey was talking about and all the freedom and stuff to do more of the passion of what you want to do, and the passion of what you want to do is help people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
It's defining your end goal.
Yeah.
And defining the strategy around what the end goal is.
Yeah.
And I've talked to you a little bit about this before, about, things like YouTube channel and write a book, and it's like, yeah, cool. But what is the end goal? Like, I want to reach a certain number of people every year through whatever it might be, and then you kind of go, okay, well, working back from there, what's my strategy that's gonna get there?
Yep.
You kind of, you can't.
It's like
it's harder to succeed by throwing a whole lot of balls up in the air and finding out which ones fall into the right places, rather than having more of a defined approach.
Yeah.
And I mean, earning a living out of it is obviously a part of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you can't necessarily, do it. It's got a finite maturity date where you're going to go, this was good. Now I got to get a job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but for me right now, if I could have life perfectly planned for me right now, it would be my life right now, just not having to think about money from week to week. So I mean,
it's classic, isn't it?
Yeah, in that.
So easy.
Because of that,
degree,
well, because of that, I'm really, really thankful for it, because I, like yourself, love getting up every day, and we're here sitting at 11 p.m. on a Thursday night, and I'm having a fucking sick time. Yeah. It's good. It would just be good not to have to think about, I can't afford whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, that is life.
Yeah, of course.
The percentage of people in this world, particularly at the age of 24, that don't have to get up and worry about a budget, and how they're going to pay their rent or pay their car loan, is minute.
Yeah, for sure.
So, there's just, this is a specific kind of I mean, we've talked about a lot of different things. So, you know, this is kind of just one aspect. But I mean, as I said, that is what the vast majority of people deal with on a daily basis. You know, like you can. There's a lot of other things to me that are really.
It's not as like I'm waking up in a war-torn country either. Like I'm lucky. Like, I'm not fucking, you know.
Yeah, but there's degrees though. Yeah, you show me your bank account all the time. I show you mine, and we're like, fuck with this stuff. Yeah, there is degrees.
Yeah,
for sure. And I
don't have to walk 20 kilometres just to get some water. You know,
this is true.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, mate. But I mean, you know, it's hard enough.
I do think that's the other thing. Like, something that I've become very, very passionate about. Like, I was thinking about the types of things you know that we're going to talk about tonight. I'm like, you know, okay, well, what makes me tick? And you know, like for me, like. I am just a really, really determined person to grow as a human, as a being, and like the more I grow and mature and this, that, and the other, the less I care about what people think.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's actually quite liberating in the sense that the less I care what people think.
It's great. Do what you want.
Then that's what fear holds everyone back.
Yeah.
In every single aspect of life, fear is what holds you back. And if you can remove that, and for me, like for too many years, I've cared what other people think of me. And like, you know, we haven't talked about it, but I mean, we were talking about the whole vlog thing beforehand, and I've started doing that. You know, like scratching a bit of a creative itch that I've got. But the next vlog that I'm going to put out is actually. It was a beautiful sunset down at Elwood Beach last weekend. I took the camera down there and just started chatting to the camera about why am I doing this. And for me, the day that I can walk down the street with holding a camera in front of me and not giving a shit what anybody else thinks is going to be a bloody good day. Because at the moment, I haven't been able to do that.
Yeah, I could never do that.
But
without
I did
thinking,
it outside here actually last
without
week.
thinking, do people think I'm a dick?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But how much? What's your end potential going to be if you are able to go and actually remove that kind of fear, whether it's that or anything else?
That's right. People caring about what people think.
The thing that I think is important to balance from that is that. I am after constant self-improvement, and to constantly self-improve, you do have to take notice of what other people's perspective is of you, because perspective is reality. My perspective of me is not the reality. It's your perspective of me and your perspective of me. And if
all different realities.
If I don't really care about what you guys actually think of me as a person, then I'm not going to grow as a person, and I literally may as well go and neck myself. Yeah. And that's my view. Like, the moment that I stop really caring about what people think, that didn't take that too literally there. But the moment that I stop really caring what people think of me, I think I'm probably going to punch my ticket and I'll be out.
But hang on, Huey, that's very contradictory to your walking down with the camera thing, isn't it? Didn't you just say that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah, that's why I was trying to balance it, because I think there's a difference between me wanting to continually self-improve and leaning on others for that kind of self-reflection. Gotcha. Versus worrying? Versus I'm happily talking to myself in a camera, and what you people think of that does not bother me.
Yeah,
that's not what people think of me as a person. That's just like what an action of me doing. Yes. Like, you know,
but
like
you still want to you want everyone to you want to make other people happy.
The action of like
your presence.
I probably, you know, or everything happens for a reason, and obviously, you know, Joe and I were meant to be. But if I hadn't have not cared about getting rejected by girls in nightclubs, I probably would have found the girl of my dreams at the age of 23. But fear would freeze you, and you'd think the more I drink, the less I'll care, and then I'll go and talk to everyone, and it's like, no, that doesn't work. You just wind up spewing your guts up and spending more money.
On Derek from corporate finance.
That's right. But I mean, it's, you know, you might get 9 no's, but the 10th yes might be the person of your dreams. But it's fear that stopped you from doing that, or making the sales call because someone at the end of the phone's they don't even know you from a bar of soap. You'll never see them face to face.
Yeah.
But because they said no, you shit yourself.
Yep.
Instead, if you don't give a toss, all of a sudden that 10th person you ring up might have might be a commission for you of 50 grand.
Yeah.
So the reason that I actually started the YouTube channel was from like a bit of a hidden personal agenda, and I was speaking to a guy today about it this morning. I set up a meeting because I wanted to see how to monetize some of this sort of stuff. And the reason why I did it was because I felt like all of these, the OCD and the anxiety, all the thoughts that I had with it were just so encompassing, and it went against everything of who I was. And I, like, literally, even when I was coming through, like, the last 6 months to a year of it, it was still there a little bit. Like, I felt like I hadn't fully conquered it. And I felt like, fuck it, the only way for me to fully conquer and accept this fear is to literally put myself out there for all judgment just be like, oh, I'm going to tell the world because this is me. This is what I went through. And so I started the YouTube channel, and the more videos I did in relating, the more confident I became at talking very specifically about what it was. Because when I first started talking about anxiety, it was a very gradual process for me, to be honest, because it freaked me out thinking about what you would think about me as a person. That in saying things like fears about sexuality, fears about schizophrenia, fears about hell, and all the other things, I was like, fuck, like, because, I mean, the fear is there because, like, what if you said something to me that made the fear worse? Like, oh, well, maybe that's because you will go to hell. And I was like, it would send a whirlwind of anxiety. It's a fear of fear perpetuation.
Yep.
So I started the YouTube channel on that note, but personal development is like the biggest thing for me as well, because it makes me happy. Like the sense of achievement in having a big accomplished day, there's nothing better than it. And whatever that is, even if I just train for one day, I know that I've got something out of that day, and that day's been fulfilling to some degree. And in doing all of this stuff with the mental health, like, it's not just because I want to help people as well, it's because I want to help myself as well. Like, if I can talk to someone and they open up to me, I feel more comfortable to open up to them. And it's like I'm ticking off fears in my head. And like, if I can become the master and conquer every fear that I have or will have, I'll literally be the happiest person in the world, because I'll be able to do whatever I want. Obviously, like, with taking into account what you said before, but I'll be able to do whatever I want because I won't be held back by anything.
Yeah.
And right now, little things in my head still freak me out, like going into very specific details about some of the thoughts, but I want to do it. The next YouTube videos I've got planned are going to do that. Public speaking, I public speak all the time for work, but like just talking to a quiet room to like 20, 30, 100 people just freaks me out a little bit. But like, because it scares me, I have to do it.
Yeah, I throw myself into uncomfortable situations all the time.
Yeah, but that's how you grow.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's exactly how you grow.
It's the only way that you will actually conquer the fear and grow, as you said.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
So I just can't, like, I mean, writing the book as well was another one, but I just can't, I can't see my life now not doing that sort of stuff, where it's like, because everybody knows the fear. This is why meditation helps in my eyes, because it really helps you become self-aware of the reactivity of emotions in response to your thoughts. And fear is a good one for me, because I know whenever I get those, like that racing heart or something, if it's a rational base, like if I'm fucking, next to a tiger or something, that anxiety is there for a reason to keep me safe. But if I'm sitting somewhere and I start to get that feeling of anxiety, I'm starting to think, okay, where's this coming from? Once I hone in on where it's coming from, I have to do the opposite of what my head is telling me, because I know that I'm just beyond this feeling of fear. I'm about to grow as a person, and it's like hard, but it's so important, you know? But, I don't know how I got onto that.
Hey, man. That was deep.
Yeah.
Super deep. Hey,
Back to super.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Talking about mental health, right? What's your view of all these AFL footballers that are coming out, quote unquote, bravely,
Yep.
and discussing publicly their mental health issues and the origins of those mental health issues.
Yeah. Well, one of the first things I learnt when I spoke to a psychologist is a lot of mental health issues are drug related. A lot. Is that the sort of area you're leaning towards?
No.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I know for me that when I...
Oh, there's speculation that
yes,
some of them are drug related.
Yeah, of course.
And but there's also not speculation.
Yeah.
The most recent ones with, say, your Tom Boyd, who's just come out, and who's the other one?
Jeremy. Oh God.
It doesn't matter, but
yeah.
But
Buddy Franklin was obviously one.
Yeah, Buddy Franklin was one of them. Yeah. But more performance.
Yeah.
More performance orientated, like the pressure and the spotlight. That sort of aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said before, we're just speculating. Like, we got no idea what their depression or their anxiety is related to.
Yeah,
and like, I feel like, do you know what's funny in talking about mental health openly and all this sort of stuff? There is a degree of me that looks back. There's a side of me that looks back on who I was and goes, I was just being a pussy. Like, there was a part of me that, like, I feel like this is another thing where I feel like if I give into fear once, that'll show up somewhere else. And if I give into that fear, then I'll eventually let fear succumb me again. And that's how, to some degree, a generalized anxiety disorder can become about. Because, like, you know, life is hard. Life is really hard. Everyone's got shit in their lives. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I had it really tough. Relatively speaking, everyone's got it really, really hard because everyone has things in their life that are uncomfortable. And we all just have to cop it as humans, that we have to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations to be better humans.
But don't they say that, I mean, mental health issues in the true sense of the word is more of a sickness, an illness?
Yeah,
as a
chemical imbalance that you're predisposed to anyway.
I guess so, because
I don't believe that it's a mental illness unless you're talking about chemical imbalances like things like bipolar and stuff. I feel like generalized anxiety disorders, OCD, all that sort of stuff.
What are depression?
Well, there's different forms of depression though.
Yeah.
Like depression can come about from tons of different things. Like you can
and the
be
stress and pressure of footy would be one of them for sure.
Of course, but I wouldn't call that an illness.
But I'll just say depression.
I'd say
the thing.
Whatever the old camera.
Whatever depression is, I think it can come on from. But I think
there's different ways of treating it though as well. Like, for someone who's got bipolar and has very acute highs and then serious lows, that's a clinical illness. And I would say that person, speaking in general terms, needs some form of medication. I'd say depression from external circumstances, like the pressures of footy, or anxiety because of the pressures of footy, is something that can be treated through psychotherapy, can be treated with like habitual behavioural cognitive change and things like that. There's different types of it. But going back to your question, I think it's a good thing that people are just look like, on a very fundamental level, people are saying, hey, like, I'm a fucking legend. Like, people look at me, I'm Tom Boyd, I'm a superstar. You know, I've got all the girls want me, I've got tons of money, but I'm also struggling at the moment and I need some time off because I'm just a human. You know, like, I think that's,
on that
level, it's good.
I'm really big on that. I'm having lunch with my grandmother on Saturday.
How is she?
Yeah, she's good.
She's good.
And the last time I spoke to Nan, I went and had lunch with her about 3 months ago, and we talked about my grandpa who killed himself.
Yeah.
He took his own life from depression, and his father before him or whatever. And me and Nan, because all the stuff that I'd been through, and again, like Tommy says, it's all relative. Like, it's fucking first world problem. Like, I've got a good life.
We've never tried to say that.
No, that's right. Yeah. But when I was talking to Nan about the stuff I'd been through, Nan was like, yeah, but the great thing about it is, Bill, you live in 2017. Because now, because my grandpa, he was like captain of the... He got taken out of school at year 9 or 10 by his dad to work on the apple orchard that the family owned. But up until that point, he was captain of the cricket club, cricket side, captain of the footy side, like really talented, good-looking dude, whatever. And he was like alpha male kind of scenario. And Nan was like, there's no way in hell that your grandpa would talk to anyone about it.
Nah.
His mates would
berate him.
They would berate him. He would be frowned upon socially, business-wise. He wouldn't be seen as a strong business leader.
Exactly.
Like there was nothing he could do to get it off his chest, and talking to people is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's the first step, the most important step. So the fact that the day that we live in this day and age, maybe some people, maybe there is people that are out there that are maybe attention grabbing. If that was a part of your point, I'm not sure, but I think the general overriding fact that people are talking about it more and more and more.
Yeah,
that's why me and Tommy on this podcast, like we're a health, fitness, and travel podcast, or whatever. We have an uneven percentage of our shows that are dedicated around mental health.
Yeah,
for the very reason that we've both been hit by it, and then when we started talking about it a little bit, you know, we started getting people.
The feedback.
I got a guy that I'm personally talking to. I'm sure you probably do too as well, Tommy. Tried to sell a trip to a guy the other day, and a guy in New Zealand, and called him, missed a call, texted him, hey man, missed your call, I want to call you about New Zealand, that Iceland trip. He was like, no man, I'm not going to come, but do you reckon I could send you an email about some stuff that's been going on with my life? And I was like, yeah, dude, feel free. And he was a listener to the podcast.
Yeah.
When I talked about the stuff I'd been through earlier in the year, he's like, man, I'm in the exact same position. The words that you said were the words from my mind that I couldn't say. He goes, what do you think about that? And I'm talking to this dude on a one-to-one basis, just trying to work shit out for him.
Yeah.
You know, and I reckon it's only been a couple of emails back and forth at this stage, but and that's one example, but like just little Facebook message, and I've positively impacted people by me saying what I've said over the journey. And when I went through my roughest trot, I reached out on a social media post, which I like to keep social media to being memes and fucking basketball videos, you know, for me. But I put a thing out on social media, and people were reaching out to me, and they were giving me heaps of stuff. So it's kind of like
it's a win-win.
It's a I scratch
we
your
put
back.
The shit out.
When you were talking about the YouTube channel and how you want to do the YouTube channel and how you love helping people and so on and so forth, I reckon a part of that for you, because for me, a part of that is the fact that I'm trying to pay it back.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I know that at some point I'm going to go through another rough trot to some degree.
Exactly.
Hopefully I have more skills and tools to get through it easier and quicker and whatever. But I'm going to go through it, and I've been through it before, and people have helped me. So I'm going really good now, and I feel like I've got actionable things that I can help people with.
Yeah.
So why would I talk about it? Because I reckon it can help them, even if it's a small degree.
And they can help you. But look, we're talking about this. Yes, I want to help people, sure. I don't want to be a life coach. That's just not who I am. I want to do this shit. If I could somehow create a life where I could sustain my life and my family doing this, mate, I'd be the happiest person in the world. Yeah. I would give up CrossFit, anything for
maybe,
it. You know?
Maybe, like, I'm not saying it can't be this, but even if it wasn't this, it could be like a variation.
Oh, of course.
Possibly a variation of it.
I'm happy for it to evolve.
Yeah.
To evolve.
No, the only reason I brought it up is because I am an ignorant reader of the newspaper.
Yeah.
Like most people.
Yeah.
And I was interested because I'll be honest. Mm-hmm. I've been a bit of a skeptic in relation to some of these footballers coming out and going, I'm suffering from depression, and you can't help. It's not skeptical because you've got everything, you're good looking and that, because my best friend is one of the most charismatic, best looking blokes you'll see, but he's chatted to me a bit about this stuff that's in his family and how he feels a bit sometimes it's wondering whether it's hitting him and this, that and the other.
Yeah.
But it's, I just think it's an interesting one because for the majority of this podcast, we've been talking about, wealth and money and setting yourself up, right? But if you look at, say, Tom Boyd came from GWS, I think, down to the Bulldogs, and he signed a 10-year deal basically worth $1 million a year. Mm-hmm. And he was essentially unproven. And aside from the grand final last year, he's actually still unproven to a point where he basically can't get a game. He's on $1 million a year. And it's like, okay, well, because he had potential and his player manager and the market went out and spruiked him and sold his services, and then someone's basically come in and said, yeah, well, hey, you want your $1 million a year for 10 years? All right, cool. We'll give it to you. I think it was 8 years. We'll give it to you. Awesome. Oh, how good's life? I've just got $1 million a year. But all of a sudden, it's come back to bite him now because he didn't understand the responsibility that came with that, and that is the responsibility and the pressure to perform.
Yeah.
And of course, with social media and the spotlight and so forth, you can't escape. And now he is off, taking time off because of a depression or some kind of.
Is that what he said? Is that because I don't read the Australian?
Yeah,
well, that was how I read Luke Beveridge.
Yeah,
his coach.
I'm just genuinely asking because I don't actually know the story.
Well, that's how I interpreted it. So, I think
at the end of the day,
my question,
the struggling.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah,
but I'm just sort of like it's a bit of a it's a bit of a slippery slide.
You should know the responsibility. No.
No. I'm not putting. I'm not saying harden up, son.
Yeah.
I'm actually just saying that there are people. There were people at the time probably didn't see this coming, but there were people around him that basically would have pushed him and sold his worth. He's worth $1 million a year. He's worth $1 million a year. And that everyone's competing for his services. And it's like, well, now look at what's kind of happened. He hasn't necessarily been able to cope with the pressure of expectation, and now he's having time off footy for personal reasons. And I just find the whole concept quite interesting. And also to ask you, and I didn't realise, Doc, that you would have had something to do with that as well. But like sometimes I'm like, yeah, you have a couple of weeks off, and yes, you're struggling. I get that, but you do have it. You do have it pretty good. And are you doing a
That doesn't matter though.
No, that's fair
all
enough.
irrelevant.
But are you doing a Are you doing a disservice? Are you doing a disservice to those that are really struggling? Like I don't know. I don't know.
But my take on that, sorry, Bill, is that like irrespective of the fact of like, so people will look. This is actually one thing I want to change, is that people today look at anxiety and depression to varying degrees. And at the end of the day, what he had, like what I was saying before, what you had or may have some down the track, we all go through shit periods. What he had, what I had, what someone has out there is relative in their own personal life, and it sucks. And irrespective of like, irrespective of someone who's been depressed or addicted to heroin for 50 years or whatever it is, like even if someone had a 2-week depression period, for that 2-week depressive period, it was the worst thing of all time.
Yeah.
And like, it's like when
doesn't matter how it happened. The fact is, it's happened.
It's happened. Yep.
You can be the most.
There's a quote on my ribs that was by Bob Marley, and it says, "Every man thinketh his burden is the heaviest." Where it's just it's a phrase that talks about relativity. Where it's like, I can't say to him, "Oh man, I get social anxiety." He says, "Oh, I've got social anxiety because I don't want to be the big talker in the room." I can look at that and go, "Really? What the fuck? That's so petty." Okay. He can look at me and go, "What? You get worried that you want to fuck your old man, or you want to fucking go to hell or something? That's so petty. I can fix that in 2 seconds." The fact is, you're not me and I'm not you, and I can't see how you would have worded that in your head. I can't see the little things in life that have caused you to be that way.
Yeah.
And it's the way I know that there isn't. Yes, there are varying degrees of severity, but the fundamental issues are the same, is because every person I've spoken to on the YouTube channel or in speaking to when I was going through it has the same resulting physical symptoms, has the same resulting behavioural patterns and actions. Everybody reaches a state where they lose their libido, they don't feel like they can connect with the world, and they want to stay indoors, and it's so similar that I'm like, fuck, it's the same thing.
Are you going to say, you go?
I was just going to say, I mean, the you can have absolutely everything in the world. Have you seen that famous Jim Carrey speech that he talks about when he got everything that he ever wanted and realised that...
Yeah, is that like a graduation speech?
Yeah.
Or Steve Jobs before he died.
Yeah, Steve Jobs. But like some of the people with the most money in the world, like one of the highest suicide rates is people that are born into wealthy families, kids that are born into wealthy families. They have absolutely everything, but that doesn't mean shit, You have to have...
They have absolutely everything in society's view of everything.
Yeah, that's right. So...
I'm going to...
Yeah,
I know this is getting late. It's probably
mate. Let's just
probably getting too late to sort of start unpacking this. But I'm gonna say it because I'm doing a disservice to all the three of us if I'm not honest about this.
Yeah, we need to hear your side of it as well.
I think it's not about, okay, so it's not necessarily about, that just because you've got certain things in life that you shouldn't feel a certain way. But I'm probably going to get slapped for this, but I still think that some people just need a good slap across the face.
Yeah. Some people probably do.
Like, you know what? Because you were talking about, it's like, your problems are still your problems and you feel how you feel. But it's like, you talked before about how, and I'm pointing at Tommy, but you said, at least I don't have to walk 20 Ks down the street to get some water.
Yeah.
We don't have to walk 20 kilometres down the street to get the water.
Oh, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But we're going to get ourselves fucking completely down in the dumps and depressed about the fact that I'm using this example. I'm not saying this is
exactly what
not saying this is Tom Boyd's problem, but if he's earning $1 million a year and he's feeling down the dumps because he's not performing, not because he was molested as a child. I'm not saying he was, but if that was what it was for, that's completely different. But if he's just down the dumps and needs a couple of weeks off because the weight of expectation is too great because he earns $1 million a year, well, maybe you should just quit AFL, or maybe just again, and this is where it comes back to this, like. I know this is like minor stuff. I'm not depressed now. I was a form of depression when I had before I had my back surgery.
Yep.
I'm not going to get into that now. It's just not relevant. Sure. But I get stressed throughout the day. I let certain things really grind on me and get to me. And I get to a point where like I have had anxiety and serious anxiety. That's some, fearful sort of fear stuff I've had to work through and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
Handling difficult situations. But I go back to morning meditation and mindfulness. And when I say mindfulness, listing 3 things that I'm grateful for. And if I talk about the warmth of the sun on my face, my unborn child, and my beautiful family, a lot of the other shit in life fails into insignificance.
Of course.
Yeah, but
I totally agree.
For some people, though, Huey. For some people, because to put into like, say you're pretty successful, right? Like, so do you think you're good at your job?
In your definition of it.
Do you think you're good at your job?
I think I'm good at my job, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're in the same job, you earn good money, you're in the same position, everybody's looking at you because you're in the managing director's position, but you're underperforming and everybody's been talking about it and you think that everybody's fucking pretty much hated you. There's pressure that's building and building and building and you've had it for 7 years.
Yeah. You
don't feel like that's even though you've got your family, you've got all these awesome things in your life, you've got everything that you've ever wanted, but you don't think that pressure can get too much, because that's what Tom Boyd's going through. Like Tom Boyd, just because he's got money and he's a good looking guy and he's got this and that doesn't, all those things don't really matter. It's all about self-worth. Tom Boyd, if you're going off what you're talking about, if this is what he's going through and it's because it's performance related, if it is performance related, then he's got a self-worth problem, because he doesn't view himself in the way that he wants to view himself, which is successful, like he's doing a good job, so on and so forth. And that can be fucking just debilitating for anyone. That's why, for example, Soundgarden, fucking Chris Cornell or whatever, Chris Cornell just recently, like one of the most successful fucking recording artists, one of the most loved people on the planet, and he killed himself.
Yeah, I mean,
can I say something? What I would say to you, because I agree with you as well. I feel is that you can get depressed or you can get anxious about anything. Okay, and what I would say to you is that I agree exactly what you're saying, but I would just word it a little bit differently. I wouldn't call it a slap in the face. I wouldn't say, hey, you've got it all good, or this is that. You can't be feeling anxious. You can't be feeling depressed, because the fact of the matter is they are feeling that way. I would say it is on them now as a responsibility to get themselves right so that they don't feel pressured. So for Tom Boyd, for example, I love the fact that he came out and he said, I'm suffering from depression, because this awareness stuff makes Bill's grandfather's situation not happen again. Like people don't feel so within themselves to commit suicide, because that's fucking terrible. Like that's not a good thing. And if more people talk about it, the less that happens, because more people feel less isolated. What I would say as well is that the thing that changed for me is when I finally hit rock bottom with everything, and I became to a certain degree suicidal. I never would have done anything, but I had the thoughts a lot for about, for a bit of a while there. When I hit that position, I took it upon myself to have responsibility, and I was like, okay, I've created this low for me. I need to get myself right. So it was a personal hit in the face. It was one of the hardest things I ever did, but it was the best thing I ever did because it was like, it's now my job as a person who just loves myself that little bit much now to make myself better. So it should never be you or him to go, stop fucking harden up, stop being a pussy. Because that's you can't fix it like that. It's a very fragile thing.
I understand that.
But
I was using that word. I was using that for an impact statement.
Yes.
I think there's definitely people that to your point, that probably do need to
of course,
toughen up. It's not. But then there's genuinely people that have everything that just are really genuinely struggling.
No, that's right. Exactly. And look, you can't put people in.
Yeah.
You can't put people in boxes. So it is important that anyone who's struggling just comes out and talks about it to someone, so you can unpack it a bit and work out. Oh, look. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I didn't think of it that way. No, life is actually
maybe I should harden up a
pretty good. Yeah. Maybe I should.
Maybe I should go get
Maybe I should just eat a cup of concrete. But
exactly.
But to your point before, because you asked me a question about if I was underperforming and this, that, and the other. People get the sack all the time because they underperform.
Yeah.
And that's a part of life.
Yep.
It's how you react. It's how you pick yourself up and dust yourself off.
Yeah.
But I think we're talking about two separate things, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about I'm down in the dumps because I'm underperforming. I'm feeling the pressure. If you put me in that scenario 7 years down the track and that kind of pressure was on me, I'd need a release. I'd need a pressure release, and that is get me out of that hot seat as fast as I can because I can't breathe underneath that pressure. But in that example, for me, that's not a depressive state. So it's completely, it's a different thing.
Though. We don't, we're not inside his head.
For me,
this whole conversation.
No, Doc. You're not.
To answer your,
no, I hate the fact we're using like Tom Boyd as a character.
Yeah, exactly.
We could call him Jim Jones. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Derek from Corporate Finance.
You know what Jim Jones is going on inside his head. You know what I mean?
Fucking Jim, I tell you.
Dog, I hate it.
See how as we get later, I've started to swear more as well. But I better get home to my wife. But yeah, no, just saying like. You were using me as an example. I'm trying to put myself in that example.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of it more as not as in depression, stress, which could easily come.
Yeah. That's how you would handle it.
From that situation. Well, it's easy for me to say now, but that situation I can see how it could certainly lead. I'm a failure. Yeah. All these expectations. My parents said that I needed to be doing this, but I'm not, and I failed, and I can totally get how that could become a real problem for people. Please, I want to make this very, very clear.
You're just playing devil's advocate.
I think I
hates people with depression. Let's get it blatantly clear.
He was against my YouTube channel.
The ironic thing about... I know we're going to wrap this up, but the ironic thing about what you just said was a couple of years ago, Hewison Private Wealth started a Hewison Foundation, and the objective for a period there was to support child abuse and mental health.
What are you laughing about?
It's just ironic that I've just been labelled as I don't think mental illness exists. I am a director of a foundation that supports mental illness. So let's just be really clear about that. I just think it's a really interesting discussion.
Totally. I think one of the things I love about
and I wear my heart on my sleeve. This is the thing that I tell everyone everything. So it's like I don't hide. I'm just someone that can't hold things up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think it's very important to be the devil's advocate in things like this. Yeah.
Let's go to 6 from 6, Tommy. It's been
kick it off, mate.
It's been alrighty. I will.
Let's go to Sydney. Kick it off.
And we didn't think we were going to have anything to talk about.
This has been one of the most entertaining podcasts we've ever done.
Yeah, I've loved it. Yeah.
All right, Huey. So, mate, it's been a great show. Let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up with some 6 from 6. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Alrighty. So. My first question, mate, is favourite travel destination anywhere on the planet that's your absolute top of the pops?
Yeah. I'll say my wife, my fiancée at the time and I, Joey, last year.
Where's that?
Hey?
Yeah. My fiance is
just trying to get my timeline right here. No, last June, July, we went to South America. And, that blew my mind. Blew all of my expectations. So, Argentina, Peru, Colombia. I mean, I know you wanted. Oh, you said destination, so we'll call it South America.
Like.
We didn't even get to Brazil, but you know what I find? I was talking to someone like I was in. It just might show my age, but the other day I was chatting to this young lady in a cafe.
Hang on.
Who served me coffee?
Okay. Yeah.
And I overheard someone talking about Machu Picchu, and she was like, "Oh, I've never heard of it." And I'm just like, seriously,
that's insane.
Because if you do that hike and you stand up on the top, even though it's not even one of the highest points in that region, 2,400 meters, I think. But you watch the sunrise come up over Machu Picchu, and it's one of the most touching, if you want to call it spiritual or whatever, but just touching moments you'll ever experience.
It's epic.
And to think how they built that thing in like such a short space of time, like. The whole Inca Trail was built within 100 years.
Yeah.
And it's like... So, yeah, that would be... And Chile, we finished off in Chile, went snowboarding in Chile.
Sick.
Like, an hour from the airport, you can be on the mountain, and it's some of the best skiing in the world.
That's right. Good answer. So my second question is dream destination. So somewhere that you haven't been that's absolute top of the bucket list.
Mentawais.
Mentawais. You've never been to the Mentawais?
No, I've been to Sumatra, which is further north. But yeah, boat trip up in the Mentawais is on my absolute to-do list.
Yeah, I've been
with a baby due in October. I don't know where it's going to be going on, mate.
Hey, babe, you want to get there in the next 6 weeks?
Hey, Joe, congratulations.
Have you been there?
Yeah, I've been to the Ments. I stayed in the playgrounds area. So Kandui, rifles, bang bang, all these kind of breaks.
I follow Kandui on the resort.
Kandui Resort, that's where I stayed.
On Instagram. And it's just like, it blows my mind.
So I was on a land-based camp.
Yeah.
Because I just don't like I get a little cabin feverish on a boat for that long. And it was a little bit cheaper to be on a land camp. So I stayed on a land camp. And every day I woke up looking around, I'd go, what the fucking, this is...
That good.
It's that good. And I just see it on photos. But correct me if I'm wrong, is it... Is that left-hander out the front, is that their own? Or can boats arrive?
It's not their own. No one has no one really owns. Because there's all different land camps that sit in front of all different breaks. Yep. Some of them are pretty pumping. I don't. From what I remember, I don't believe it's their own break.
I know there are some that. Or it's like maximum of, like a certain number. And
I think they work together. The boats work together to a degree, Yeah. And I think you might get priority. Like if they've got a boat there and the max number's 15 people on Kandui, which is Kandui's the left. Kandui's left, and Kandui is that pumps. That's one of the best waves in the area.
Yeah.
So I think they get they get preference, but it's and I think the guys all communicate and work together and stuff. But I don't think anyone owns. Well, maybe they do. I don't know enough about it.
Anyway.
But it's so sick. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
My third question, Huey, is any book that you like to recommend to people? Can be any sort of book, just something you've really enjoyed.
God, what have I read recently?
This better be good.
I've got a mental blank.
Yeah. Did you not have this prepared? That's gold. Yeah, I just had a blank.
I mean, you know what? Look. I'm sure you would have had other guests that have said this.
Yeah.
But
the Bible,
the 4-hour work week, which is as good as a Bible, by the way. It's one of the greatest life hacks you'll ever read.
100%.
It is a good one.
And anyone that says that it doesn't apply to me. Is just being completely ignorant and narrow-minded.
100%.
But even you to be able to take bits and pieces out of it, like, for example, like batching.
Yeah.
Like things that you have to do at different times or that come up throughout a day, like checking your emails.
Yeah.
For me, living out of your inbox is the greatest inefficiency every human being just about, unless you're working on the tools, it would experience. And so to actually shut off something like your email and just go, you know what, I'm only going to check it twice a day for 15 minutes. So, like batching as a concept. It's an amazing book. I've got to read it again.
Totally.
I've read it twice. I've read and listened. I have 3 assistants in the Philippines, and I never would have even contemplated that without reading the 4-Hour Work Week. And you know how efficient and like financially how valuable that is to adventure travel. Like those guys get paid well, but we're able to get epic work done through like, outsourcing your work to, and that all came to me through the 4-Hour Work Week.
The whole like, you're exactly right. Like you take what you want from it, but I got the whole minimalism concept from it and the whole sort of online work from it. I mean, my goal is to have a job completely online where I'm working in the Maldives. And I'm trying to like monetize the business online, but even just getting rid of all the shit and the clutter in my room. I mean, now I only own clothes, a computer, a guitar, and a couple of little things here and there. Like it's just so much easier,
Oh, mate, it's so funny. I'm going down down a pretty deep rabbit hole at the moment with one on the way. Like got married last November and one on the way, and I got no problem with that at all, of course. Can't wait. But you can fall into that danger of just like you just start to accumulate stuff for the sake of it.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm literally. I mean, I don't know whether Jo, my missus, I don't know whether she gets frustrated with me, but. I'm forever like bagging up clothes.
Yeah.
Like if I haven't worn something for 6 months, I'm like, there's a pile, and it says Sacred Heart Mission. Straight off. And so like you're doing a good thing as well. But I can't stand clutter.
No.
And but to your point, like, I mean, I think of someone, and he's and this is like totally like this is not a paid advertisement, ladies and gentlemen. But Dave Driscoll, and I look at that guy. And I just I props to that guy. I love him. Like he was in his mid-30s and he decided to basically get rid of all his crap back in Texas and start traveling the world.
Yeah.
And,
totally.
And now I mean, I would say that he's still what he has got now in Bali with his gym and whatever was a manifest. He manifested that. Like he wanted to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
Good looking guy, really sociable.
Yeah.
Picks up a whole lot of traveling contacts around the world through his travels. Then he lands in like the hottest tourist destination in Southeast Asia and says, "Hey, I'm opening a gym."
Yeah.
And I mean, you just have to follow that guy on social media to see how good his life is. And he designed it. It doesn't happen by chance.
He legitimately. Because he lived with me 2 summers ago for about 4 or 5, 6 months. Like, we don't talk that much anymore, but we were, near on best mates. He legitimately told me exactly 100% what he wanted to do with his life, what he planned to build, the dream for it. His dream was to have the premier training facility in Bali. He wanted to have a Reebok-sponsored gym. He wanted to get athletes from all over the world to come because it's such a sick facility, great place to train.
It is a great gym.
He wants to do retreats out of there, and he's
just started that too.
Yeah, and he's pretty much done it all now.
As much as he plays I'm a vagabond, like blah blah blah. He's an entrepreneur, and he would agree. He would obviously own up to that as well. He didn't. It was very good business acumen to see that opportunity there at the time, because for anyone that's been to Bali pre-Wanderlust, CrossFit Wanderlust or whatever it is, you had CrossFit S2S.
Yeah, that's right.
Which was an actual shithole on the side of a road. I turned up there one day and there was just a cleaner there, and all the stuff's out there. I'm like, "Oh, can I train?" And it was ridiculous.
It's not on.
So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he read the 4-Hour Work Week at some stage.
Yeah, for sure. Tommy, you're up.
So, Huey, what do you like to do when you have some downtime?
Go surfing.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I wish I had more downtime, but that's my choice at this point in time.
Go surf.
But go put the dog in the car. Even.
It's a bit rough, mate. She's a lovely lady.
That's fine.
Sorry.
And I wasn't quick enough. Quick enough to correct it either. My dog, my lovely wife in the front seat, and my Hungarian Vizsla Henry in the back. But I mean, hanging out with you. Henry. In all honesty, like. I missed that.
He goes, I can't believe he calls her Henry.
We love Joe.
He's a very, very attractive dog. If you follow my social media, you'll see.
That's right.
But mate, just these days, actually going out for a brekkie, with all you idiots from the gym,
yes,
and sitting down and reading the paper and that sort of thing. So I'm in that at this point in time, it's pretty basic.
What about someone you look up to? Someone that inspires you?
Oh, without a doubt, my old man.
Mm-hmm.
We've had just such a close relationship since the first time I could even remember, and he's a devoted family man, which is exactly what I want to be, and the way that he's built Hewison Private Wealth, that's a 35-year-old dream that he had, and it in some ways it really defines who he is. The way that we set it up, well, he set it up, and we've now carried it on at the highest standards, ethical standards, professionalism, and we don't make any decision in our business unless we can satisfy ourselves that it benefits our clients before anybody else. And he'll take that to his grave. So,
and it was his birthday recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, it turned 70.
How'd you celebrate?
We had the best family dinner at Donovan's in St Kilda.
Beautiful.
That's his favourite restaurant. Just 6 of us, so just close family.
Mm-hmm.
And just enjoyed each other's company, drank a lot of red, had a lot of laughs, and that's all you need in life, really.
That's good.
A lot of red and
laughs. A lot of red, a lot of laughs.
You don't know much.
Bloody good stuff.
Yeah. You don't get laughs, at least you've had the red.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And finally, mate, tougher question coming along. If you can invite 3 people to dinner, dead or alive, who would they be, and why would they be there?
Okay.
No notes.
So. I didn't want to forget who they were.
Yeah, you can look.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay, that's a good one.
Would be the first one.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know this about him, but he was a millionaire before he became a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
He I think he ran it was like a concrete or a bricklaying business with his mate Franco Colombo. So I mean I've heard him talk on various podcasts. And the guy is just, I could have put anyone, I could have put a number of people there, but that quintessential successful high achiever, it didn't happen through luck. He's a very, very smart businessman.
Totally.
And I'm sure he's got some kick-ass stories.
Oh yeah, for sure.
As the world's greatest bodybuilder, if you watch Pumping Iron, you'll see what I mean. Being a movie star, being the Governator,
have you ever heard the story about, there's a funny story about, I think it's some rock star, I can't remember who, maybe it was Gene Simmons' birthday party in the 1970s, and it was right when Sylvester Stallone, what happened? Sylvester Stallone just got the part for Rambo or something, and he was in training, so he went to bed early in the back shed. He wanted to get away from the party. And apparently Arnold kept just walking up to the door. Sylvester Stallone's told the story. Kept walking up to the door, and he would just bang on the door, and he'd yell out, "Sylvester, it's time for your workout." And then I just wouldn't fucking leave him alone. And that's my story.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. My favourite line out of Pumping Iron, which I'm sure the same.
Yeah.
A lot of people would think that is when he's asleep on the grass and there's the guys interviewing him, and he's half asleep, and the guy's like, "Arnold, you've been at the top for so long, aren't you starting to get complacent? Being up there, and everyone around you is hungry. They're all coming up on the side of the mountain, and they're there to get you." And he goes, "Yeah, but when I want the food, it's there."
That's sick. So, I love this one where he's like, so I can't remember the question exactly, but he goes, "But when I'm at the gym, I'm coming. I'm coming. And when I get home and I come with my wife, I'm coming again. So all of the day, I just come all the time."
You have no idea the feeling I'm having. It's like coming 24/7.
Yeah. Fuck that bloke comes along. So he's number one.
All right, he's number one. The second one is Elon Musk.
Oh, that's another great one.
Very good,
on
Andrew.
this dinner party.
Yeah, he founded PayPal, and I think he's obviously probably moved on from that now. But
SpaceX.
Yeah, so Tesla.
True.
And so, yeah, look, the space stuff, yeah, good luck to him. But what he's looking to do for the environment.
And he's going to do it.
I don't want to get into to too much of a discussion. Or we're too late for that now anyway. But I don't know if you've ever heard of. I listened to a podcast with Joe Rogan and Alex Jones. Goes for 4 hours. Yeah, and they talk about things like. Well, I've got a lot of it's political, like the elite of the world, and essentially the elite of the world. They rule the world. They control the world. We just don't know it. They pull all the strings.
Yep.
And
the closed government.
Yeah. And there's a lot of talk. They talk a lot about how, as much as the environmentalists and clean energy and electric cars and all that sort of stuff, they sound really good and great concept. But essentially, the elite that rule the world, whether it be oil magnates or whatever, I mean they will always control the outcome.
Yep.
And then you bring that back around to someone like Elon Musk. You could talk about oil tycoons, and then you've got car manufacturers and this, that, and the other. And then you bring it full circle around to Elon Musk, who is, absolutely killing it with Tesla, the Tesla brand. Admittedly, they're very expensive at the moment, but give it 5 years,
totally, they will
not be. He's starting to win that battle in some respects.
Yeah. They're the second most valued car company in the world.
Behind,
I forget who the number one is, but they're the number one car company in the world. Is I can't remember who it is. You could rattle off a name. I'd say yes or no probably, but I valued it like $47 billion or something. Tesla's now valued at $45 billion. Tesla within a year will be the number one, the richest car company in the world, and only growing in leaps and bounds.
And the business model itself. We have a new model coming up. We have the Model S coming up, or whatever it might be. The one they released it not long ago, and there's a low cost version on that too.
Yeah.
So it's much more affordable. They took deposits on that like several years ago, $1,500 deposits on those cars. 500,000 people took them up.
Yeah.
Paid Elon Musk their $1,500, and they didn't. He hadn't even produced a car yet.
Yeah.
So he just. There's your cash flow.
Totally.
Yeah.
And but also now the Tesla, there's obviously Tesla batteries, but also what I'm pretty excited about is the Tesla roof tiles.
Yeah, that's sick, aren't
which
they?
apparently are like a much stronger. And
got a lifetime warranty.
Yeah, and can they've fired bullets at them. But
what are they? I don't know this.
Well, they're like solar panels.
Okay.
But they're roof tiles.
They look like tiles.
You put them
on your roof. That's your roof.
They have Spanish tiles. They have slate tiles. They have anything.
Yeah.
Looks the exact same, lifetime warranty.
Change the world.
Yeah, like this guy. So I mean, why would I love to talk to him? I mean, the other thing he's got a boring company, right? So he's boring huge tunnels underneath Los Angeles.
Yes.
That you're going to be able to.
Did you see his post the other day? In the car down there? In the tunnels?
It's so the mind of this guy, he's a Steve Jobs of our generation, and I just love to know what his plans are for all of us for the future.
So my mate and I actually did a tour of SpaceX in Silicon Valley.
I slept through it.
Bill slept through it. Yeah, he'd had a big night before.
Yeah. I hooked it up and then slept through it.
He certainly hooked it up the night before. Yeah, a couple of sessions. We did a tour of it, and we saw like where his desk is. We saw like where he sits and all this sort of stuff. And so like just entering the mind of Elon Musk could be fascinating. Like you said, sometimes he just sits under his desks and like looks up at the top of the desk for like hours. Like people that are working there just see him doing this for like hours, and I mean he's just a weirdo, but just obsessed.
I just finished his book, Huey. Have you read his book?
No, not
it's
yet.
Fucking great.
Really good.
It?
Yeah, it's one of the best. It had been on my shelf for ages, and then one of my mates, Drew, who's read everything, we were talking about it, and he goes, "Oh, mate, it's one of my top 5." I said, "Your top 5?" He's read everything.
Yeah.
Your top 5? He goes, "Yeah, my top 5." So I read it straight away. It's fucking outstanding. I gave it to a chick in here today. Actually, I brought it in. But with the SpaceX,
it's been a very long season 6.
He's totally. So you know how he's basically he's totally reinvigorated the automotive industry.
Yes.
He's done the same thing with the space industry.
Oh, yeah.
So they build everything that they built from scratch. He's okay, all that shit that NASA's doing, that technology is 40 years old. Yeah. He goes, and NASA used to get everything made all over the world, put it all together. Elon Musk was like, fuck that. We're making it here in America, in-house. And they brought...
He makes his own carbon fibre.
They brought the cost of a space shuttle down by... Not only did they bring it down by like fucking 1,000%, now they're also reusable, obviously. So that makes it, it's a fucking 50,000%.
It's a perfect investment. Yeah.
And so his contracts are all for like government contracts now. So I was reading an article the other day about whether it'll be Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk that'll be the world's first trillionaire, because they'll both get there. Unless, of course, something radical happens with SpaceX or Tesla.
Which is 1,000 billion, isn't it?
$1,000 billion, yeah.
$1,000 billion.
Bezos will probably get there first, but yeah, like he's revolutionised space, the automotive industry, solar he is now, and transport is looking at as well with the Hyperloop. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I'd love to just speak to him. Like, I mean, I want to get to this fucking dinner table as well. But I'd love to just speak to him and be like, mate, what goes on in your mind, like 24/7? Like the most nerd. The most motivated, determined people in the world do still enjoy a little bit of downtime here and there. Like, I like to go surfing, or I like to just have a beer every now and then. He must just be always on. He must have fucking bipolar.
They say he doesn't have downtime. Like his downtime, his whole purpose is saving the planet, saving the human race. From obliteration. That's the whole Mars thing. Is he wants, like, he set up SpaceX to do all these government contracts, reusable rockets and stuff, so he can set up a colony on Mars. That's the only reason he wanted to do it. So but he needs the money. So he's like, okay, here's what I need. Here's the problem I want to fix. This is what we need to do. We need a fucking lot of money to do that. So how am I going to build a business that's going to provide the money that we're going to, set up a colony on Mars?
So that's why he's doing Tesla and the Boring Company and PayPal.
No, Tesla's
that's just building on from.
No, Tesla's for like reusable energy. With solar cities now owned by Tesla, so the roof tiles and stuff, all that stuff is all under the Tesla banner, which is cool. Like Tesla's now like a straight renewable energy company. But then the Boring Company, and he's just invested in AI, augmented intelligence, which is another it'll be very interesting to see what comes from that.
Just quickly, you mentioned Jeff Bezos before. I'm company name dropping now. You talk about Silicon Valley. I was happened to be there earlier this year, and the tour that I was on went to NASA. And we're talking to them, and they actually said that they've got their own story as it relates to SpaceX. But the point that they made about Jeff Bezos is that Amazon is nothing more than an avenue to get him to space.
Yeah.
When he was a kid, he actually said, or just before he created Amazon, he said, I want to create a company that makes me enough money that allows me to get to space. So he already had it all mapped out. That's just his facilitator. Amazon's just his facilitator to get him there. So anyway,
that's so sick.
The third person, I'll sound like I'll go back to my investing roots here and sound like a nerd, but Warren, I'd have Warren. I'd want to have a session with Warren Buffett.
Have a session, yeah.
Before you said dead or alive. He's still alive at the moment. He's a bit ancient.
Not after this dinner.
But I mean, he's, even if you got insights off him, and he's written books and whatever, but I mean, there's no formula to what he does. It's he just knows what to look for. He's like Rain Man. He's got a form of, I won't say autism, but he's like Rain Man.
He's like a savant.
He's a savant.
Yeah. His ability, and he spends at least 6 hours of his day every day reading company reports.
Oh, wow.
You got to have a feel. Good luck to him.
Yeah.
Can't Siri just give it to me, but but he literally built his company Berkshire Hathaway from donuts.
Yeah.
He didn't come from a rich background. He's the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd love to take some of his secrets back to Hewison Private Wealth.
Very good. What's his net worth, Huey?
It's around about 65 billion.
It's a lot of fucking money.
Him and Bill Gates, they kind of drift. They compete depending on stock price, and Jeff Bezos, now
as well. Bezos was the
he was the richest man for like a day. And then his stock price fell.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Huey, where can people find you? And anything you want to plug right now, mate? I know something you should plug. Get around it, mate. Get around it.
No, mate. That's just. I'm an amateur at the moment. No, look, I'm not pushing any barrow at the moment, but I mean, my social media is just Andrew Hewison, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. Yep. What you're talking about is my vlog, my YouTube.
I was talking about your Pornhub subscription, actually.
Oh, well, that too. Fantastic, yeah. My YouTube channel, which is also Andrew Hewison. Lucky that's just not a common name. Got it all sewn up.
John Smith. Can't get Bill Kerr anyway.
Muhammad.
Yeah, just playing around with some of those vlogs. So if you care to go and have a look.
They're good. I do like them. I like your most recent one, actually, with your old man. That's how I knew you had a 70th birthday. So.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, well, that's been good fun.
Cool.
Thanks,
Huey,
boys.
thanks so much for coming on the show.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
And that's a wrap. Alrighty. Thanks for listening, guys. If you're a first-time listener, please subscribe. If you're a multi-time listener, please also subscribe. And also, leave us a rating and review. Don't forget to also check out the show notes if there's anything that you want from this show. And also, head to www.adventurewithtravel.com/radio for the show notes, and head to quashcreative.com, use the code radio with the guys, get a free SEO report or existing brand report. Head to audibletrial.com/ADVF radio for 30 days and a free audiobook with Audible, and head to adventurewithtravel.com and use the code word radio for 10% off any and all trips. See you next week.
Discovery Roger, go for deploy.